Hi, this is Julia Leewald.
And this is Eric Leewald.
And you're listening to Comic Relief Podcast.
The Comic Relief Podcast is an unscripted discussion about the pop culture surrounding comic books with your hosts,
Uncanny Tawmis Logue,
and the mighty Maico Moreno.
So hello ladies and gentlemen, today we're very lucky to have with us Eric and Julia Leewald, co-developers, writers, and story editors of the very awesome 90s X-Men The Animated Series. How are you guys doing today?
Wonderful.
Having a great time here at Comic Fest.
Excellent. First of all, let me start off by saying that your work on X-Men The Animated Series was pinnacle growing up. I started getting into comics around the same time that the X-Men Animated Series came out. I don't know if it was the universe aligning properly or what was going on, but at that point, X-Men became one of the best-selling comics at the same time that the Animated Series was coming out and was a major hit on television.
Yeah, it was a real high point, I think, for both the comics industry and for animated action adventure TV. It just all kind of came together then, and now things have kind of dispersed a little, and there were only 3 or 4 networks there. Now there's like 500, and so everybody knew what everybody else was reading and watching. We were stunned that there were Saturdays that over half the viewing audience in America was watching our show. And I mean, what a strange feeling. I mean, you write the show in your bedroom, and 6 months later, all these people are enjoying it and sharing it and talking to their buddies about it.
Huge hit.
And also, we've met many people for whom X-Men The Animated Series was their way into the comic books. Because as hugely popular as the comics were, that was still a smaller percentage of your general audience versus the folks who just happen to have a TV. Finding them on Saturday morning and then go, oh, that's interesting, and using that as the way to get into the comics then.
Even to this day, when I talk to people and I ask them what comics they read growing up, even though they are fans of the X-Men, of the movies, of everything that Marvel's doing now, they'll say, oh, I didn't really read comics growing up, but I watched the X-Men cartoon. And we'll get into a bit of the history of the comics versus the show, because it was really a Cliff's Notes of the history of the X-Men. You guys did a great job with that, and we'll get into that here in a moment.
One of the things is, so I'm old, so I was reading X-Men before the animated series, right?
Sure.
And so there's like the CBR forums. When I go on there, I am telling you, 90% of the people, X-Men the Animated Series was their introduction.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a huge amount of people. You guys did like a massive impact on people.
Yeah, well, we were warned. I think it's the late Margaret Lesh, who made it all happen, who'd been working for 7 or 8 years to get the show on TV with no luck because none of the networks were taking it. They're saying, kids won't watch cartoons about comic books. Forget it. And so she pushed it, so she got it on, and when she was telling us how to structure the stories there, especially the first year before everybody got fully into it, she said, guys, you got to understand, there are a certain number of people, it's a very popular comic right now, and those people are reading it, but that's like 10 or 15% of the audience that I need. They're going to be 80-85% of the people that are going to be new to mutants, they're going to be new to X-Men, they're not going to know what this world is at all. So when you're writing this first season especially, keep in mind that you're not writing this for the people that will get all the references. You got to make the stories compelling for somebody that is brand new to this. It helped expand the group of people that suddenly became interested in comics, and we were pleased to do that. But we were just thrilled, to start with such a nice, great property that people were already fond of, and then just take it to a new medium. And it was a challenge. I mean, it's a very different way to write. Like Len Wein worked for us, and he's one of the few comic book writers that has made the transition to TV. And he'll tell you the first thing that you got to do is you got to write for the medium, and we don't have thought bubbles, we don't have narration. We don't have all these things that happen in comics. It's speeding along in real time, and in a comic you can pause and get a sense of what all the people are thinking and feeling, and you get a sense of all the design and how it's moving forward on TV. So it was a different way of thinking from comic book writing.
Well, you say, you wrote specific for that medium. I think you gapped that bridge between new and old. Because like I said, I was reading it before, and everything I saw in the cartoon was everything I wanted. You know what I mean?
Great.
It was perfect.
terribly flattering.
That's why it's wonderful to hear, because it is a challenge. And if you just look at it at first, if you're used to writing, it's like a book or a play. If you're used to writing for plays and it's dialogue and people moving in space, and you're looking at a book, it doesn't necessarily, it's steady. It doesn't necessarily translate in your mind. And we were lucky that we had a mixture. About half of us were fairly new to the X-Men, and we're not big comic book guys, but we're really into screenwriting and really into heroic stories. And then there's this other half of the group, mostly the animators and artists and designers, that knew the X-Men backwards and forwards. So they were careful to make sure everything was in canon, and we were careful to make sure everything was like heroic and exciting and visual. And the two came together, and we complemented each other. And we realized we needed the other one, but it was a mixture of two different kinds of people to make it work.
Given the history of the X-Men, when you got the call to go in for the meeting and get it started in 1992, you have 35 years of different variations.
And there's 3 or 4 book series going at once with different people on each one. It gave us a little freedom. There wasn't just one set X-Men history. There were variations. And so Marvel told us, just be true to the characters. Don't worry about if you've remembered a bit of the history wrong, or if you're putting new stuff that we had something different in. As long as you're true to the essence of the characters, we don't care. We just want you to make something that works.
And just looking at the histories, it's, will the X-Men be about 4 teenagers who are kind of angsty and concerned, which was the very beginning with Professor Xavier?
Yeah.
Or will this be them stronger and bigger and older, but it's fighting the bad villain of the week? Or will it be what it became, which is more the rights, ultimate underlying, more adult, more mature story opportunities there?
That was a very interesting direction, because the X-Men animated series was a very mature, adult, a little darker in a lot of the themes. And for whatever reason, I was, I forget how old I was. I was 12 years old, and I've watched it with kids that were younger than me that were watching it, and were just following along as if this were, a Saturday morning cartoon, which it was. It was a Saturday morning cartoon with very adult themes.
A lot of times on the various shows we've worked on, we try to tell executives, because executives tend to want to be safe, and they tend to want to go towards where the merchandise is going, and which has become younger and younger and younger. And we try to tell them, look, every 8-year-old is going to be curious about what his 13-year-old brother is watching. The 13-year-old brother is not going to be curious about something that's focused only for an 8-year-old. Mm-hmm. And so we said, we like writing old. We like writing much more sophisticated stuff. We like having the kids only get about half of it, and then when they watch it 5 years later, get another portion of it. You can imagine from the writers and artists' point of view, we're all in the business for years and years, wanting to do sophisticated stuff like this, and then Fox says, do it, push it, make it as tough and sophisticated as you want. And so everybody on the crew is saying, yeah, we're going to do that, and we're going to make sure it works.
One of the things you guys did, for a Saturday morning cartoon, really early on, you guys killed Morph. You know what I mean? That was bold.
Came back though.
Yeah,
he came back in comic book tradition.
Yeah, we didn't mean it to. That was in our first discussion with the network, the head writer, Mark Edens, and I, because Mark was responsible for doing the pilot with me. We said, we gotta kill somebody. That was just the beginning of it. Someone has to die so that the audience knows there are repercussions to being an X-Men, that there are responsibilities, that there's loss if you're an X-Men. So we said, okay, who do we pick? And we talked to the network, and they were saying,
sounding a tad casual now. No, it was a serious discussion.
Pick the right guy.
Yeah, but the network at first said, oh my God, we can't do this. You can't kill people on Saturday morning. And then they came around.
And broadcast standards and practices were like, huh? Wait, this is Kids Saturday
Luckily,
morning.
our executives above us were saying, yeah, do it. So we pushed it. We said, okay, they'll let us do it. In typical form, I don't know the books that well. I'm just going through a Marvel Universe history or talking to some of the people at Marvel. We always wanted to use someone from the books when we could, even for a guest or for someone that's going to be on for 5 minutes, who has sacrificed himself for the sake of the X-Men in the 30 years history of the book. Not very many people. Well, one was called Changeling.
Oh, see?
That
was one of the things I always wondered.
Yeah, and so in the pilot, in the script, if you get a copy of the script, it's written Changeling. And so we put him on there specifically to be killed early in episode 2, in the middle of the first story. And he's like the red shirt guy in Star Trek. He's brought on so that, but then of course you thought, okay, to make this work well, we want to make him as likable, and we want to make him somebody Wolverine loves.
Sure.
So we want to make the grief of the X-Men the big deal. And so we made him too lovable. And so we're done writing the first season, we're waiting like 4 or 5 months to see if they pick it up because there's no contract for a second season. And then it shows, and it's a huge #1 hit. And we're February '93, we're like 6 episodes in. They do a test with kids and ask, well, who's your favorite character? And 6 episodes in, it was Morph.
He scored high.
Really?
He scored higher above everybody. Wolverine, everybody. And maybe it's because Wolverine loved him. He was Wolverine's best friend.
That's my theory, that people fell in love with him because Wolverine loved him.
So we're writing the second. We're starting to write the second season. We get a call from the network. Said, guys, we're sorry. We know it meant the world to you to kill off Morph, and that we said we'd let you do it. But could you bring him back? And we really didn't want to, but they said, okay, we get it. He's our fans' favorite, so the fans brought him back.
So for the record, he was supposed to stay dead.
He was supposed to stay dead.
And he was changeling until...
until the attorneys got it, and they said, wait a minute, there's a DC character.
DC character, yeah.
But I looked it up, and I said, but it was written 2 years after the Marvel one, so there shouldn't be and then they said, look, we're not going to take the chance.
We don't want the fight.
So you can use the character, but you got to rename him. And that's why
Ta-da!
You literally answered like something I've always wanted.
And that's why we named him Morph.
They used Morph,
It was
but there
Changeling. It was Changeling the whole
And
time.
you were right.
You were right.
Yep.
I did always wonder that because the first season felt very, very contained.
Yeah.
It almost felt like if the X-Men didn't continue, the animated series didn't continue, the first season was the story, beginning to end. And then you guys brought back Morph. So that definitely answered my question on why you guys brought him back.
And back in that day, as Eric was saying, no one knew if the show would last more than 13 episodes. A lot of shows don't go in children's TV animation longer than 13 episodes.
Marvel shows hadn't worked.
No Marvel show had. But so at the end of the first 13, bye. Everyone's contract were finished.
We went off and worked on other shows.
Everyone was
thinking
freelance.
It might be dead.
No one was held over for the next season like the old days of football. Johnny Unitas goes to work in the steel mills because he doesn't have a year-long contract.
Go back to the steel mills.
Go back.
So we worked on a show called Exo Squad for Universal, and both the Eden's brothers, who had done most of the writing in the first season, and Will Mineo, who had designed it. And so we're doing that, and then we're mostly done with writing the first season of that. We find out X-Men's been picked up. I had made it so that I was only in that for the one season, so I could walk away. But they had to stay, so I lost my 2 top writers. About a month into the second season, they helped lay out the episode. Those guys and I laid them out before we handed them off to the writers. Created the arc, but they really couldn't participate that much in the second season script writing because they were doing their own show.
How difficult was it to manage? How I'm picturing it in my head is we had you guys that were creating the show, and then you had Fox Studios, and then you had Marvel Studios or Marvel.
Yeah.
So you had this trifecta. How hard was it to maintain creative control without all the the different directions you're trying to be pushed in?
Well, in a way, we keep saying this. All credit goes to a woman named Margaret Lesh, who had been working at Marvel for 10 years, a number of years at Marvel.
Marvel Productions, the TV production side of things. Before she got hired at Fox in 1990 to run Fox Kids, she'd been pitching it with Stan Lee. Want anybody put the X-Men in the air? And everybody saying no. The second chapter of the book is her telling about her 8 years trying to get it on the air and being told nobody will watch it. It was basically her baby, and she kind of had the whip hand on everybody, on all these groups.
Okay.
Marvel could tell us, well, look, this is so out of character for Wolverine. We really don't want you to put this in the show. They're basically this tiny company and almost in bankruptcy at this point. They don't know how to do TV shows. They don't pretend to. They're very good partners in that way. They just let us work.
And they're in New York.
And they're 3,000 miles away, and it's pre-web. So if they wanted to get something to us, they had to Xerox it and mail it.
Oh, geez.
So it was really slow communications. But they were just supportive and would give notes about this is true to Marvel or it isn't. They didn't have the time to say, well, if we were telling the stories, we'd restructure your story this way. So they were just being good protectors of the details. Saban Entertainment, who had a production hand in it, they just wanted to do it as cheaply as it could. So they didn't give us any creative notes. So then Braz Entertainment, who was doing the actual artwork and pre-production and sending it overseas, they were just wanting to make sure, my God, let's get this done on schedule because we're starting 2 months behind. So they all had their priorities. The people that really we had to satisfy creatively, besides ourselves, was Fox. It was their show.
Sure.
And Sidney Iwander, thank God, Margaret was the president. Sidney was the field general. He micromanaged, and in a good way. He fanatically worked with us on X-Men. He supervised Batman. He supervised the Tick. He supervised Spider-Man. He supervised Beetlejuice, where I worked with him the year before. He read every word, listened to every line of dialogue, looked at every panel of storyboard. So he was the guy that I would get creative notes from. Other people, Marvel might have an idea or two, but basically I was able to tell them, that doesn't work for us. With Sidney, with Fox, it was, I've got to make him understand why this is the best way to do this scene. So that it was really ended up being one person.
That's a lot lighter than I thought it would be. It makes sense with Marvel being on the East Coast.
They just were had their fingers crossed that we'd do it right. And Bob Harris was doing the books at that time. He was our first creative connect. He's wonderful. He's now the editor-in-chief at DC. But at the time, he was running all the X-Men books, and he was the one that gave me all the notes where I'd ask the questions. We did have one meeting in New York where we all went out there between the second and third seasons before we did the Phoenix and the Dark Phoenix.
Yeah.
And we walked through the Phoenix and the Dark Phoenix with him, and I've got a bunch of notes on them because this was really important to Marvel. But all the other stories, we'd pick them, and we'd send the ones we wanted to do, 2 sentences on them, and we'd hear back and say, oh no, you can't do that, or we'd get some reaction. But once we decided, we'd come up with the stories, and then once we decided that they all would fit within the Marvel universe, we just ran with them.
I do have one criticism, and I always wondered, with all the amazing characters that the X-Men have, why did none of the X-Men stay? When you guys introduced Colossus, Angel, Iceman, that they would come and leave at the end of the episode.
We were thinking of it, and the network was as well. We're thinking of it in terms of a television show like Cheers or Modern Family or what. First of all, to us, it was really crowded, trying to service all those people just from the start, and the guest characters and the villains. So the question from us writing was, well, boy, couldn't we get rid of a couple of 3 of these so there aren't 8 or 9 people to service? You'll find in some episodes we only see 2 or 3 of the X-Men.
Yes.
And we did it on purpose. To answer your question, they thought of, we need to pick the core group, and even if the show lasts 10 years, just keep with them. But an interesting twist, we were planning on wrapping it up at 65 episodes and losing 4.
Secret news here.
Secret news.
Wow.
Losing 4 of the X-Men and bringing 4 new people in.
Oh, wow.
And we thought we were going to end the series at episode 65. We wrote up, there was that Axis of Time episode, which Mark Edens did the story for it, uncredited. And so we built up this whole thing to get rid of Jean Grey and Scott and Professor X and Storm, I think, 4 people.
Wow.
They were going to leave.
That made the leadership.
And bring in Archangel and Bishop from the future and Shard from the future and one other person who I can't remember. That's why Bishop was the lead in that episode, because he and his sister were going to end up part of the X-Men. And then we've written all the scripts and we're ready to go.
And that's how the series would end.
Instead of the farewell. And then we got called, say, oh, by the way, we decided to do 11 more, so you can't lose these 4 and you can't add these 4. So rewrite it all, and even though you've all set it up to lose these guys, they're not going to leave. So it's not going to make much sense, but sorry we don't have time to change it. So that was the plan. We was going to lose 4 and gain 4 as we said goodbye.
That would have been an interesting twist.
Yeah, that would have been a huge twist.
But then I would have wanted more, right?
Yeah.
I would have been like,
that would have been
now I need to know what happens next.
That would have been nasty. Well, it would have been up to them. And
Well, that would have been great for the next season.
Exactly.
And that was a weird thing with us. With Batman, for instance, because we've got lots of friends on Batman, that's a Warner Brothers DC thing, and it's in-house.
Yep.
They're a big studio.
Yep.
They can just do as many series as they want and stop them when they want and start when they want. This little group of 4 companies was thrown together was like kind of a making something in your garage kind of deal.
Right.
And as soon as it fell apart, Marvel was going bankrupt. They'd sold the rights of the X-Men out to Fox. They sold Spider-Man to Columbia Sony.
Yeah.
Everybody was in disarray. There was nobody, as soon as we were done, to say, well, let's do another series. Let's do a twist on it. Let's do a new team. Everybody just left and stopped. It was still like number 1 in the ratings, but they just said, okay, we can make money replaying 76 of them. We're done.
One little sort of side note folks may not know about, but Margaret Loesch had been working tirelessly to get anyone to make X-Men, and then X-Men the Animated Series, it did well for itself. As head of Fox Kids, she was taking this information to Marvel and Fox saying, you need to make a movie. This property lends itself to a movie. I think you guys need to make a movie. Nah, I don't know. Couldn't get any interest, couldn't get any excitement, but she kept pressing and she kept pushing, and finally they started looking at it, and that's why the series of films are today, because Margaret Logue was confident in the material.
Yeah. They consulted with you guys, right? They would have had.
In Hollywood, things are very segmented. We've been in that position where, we wondered, guys, we know those characters pretty well. You want us to do a script for you? The one thing we did is Will Mineo, who supervising producer, really fought all the political battles the first year to make sure this show was what it ended up being. He and I got asked by the Fox people who made the movie a couple months before the movie went into production. Well, we've got a script here, and we're not quite sure if it's working. And we read it, and it was pretty awful.
But no, they asked you.
Yeah, they asked us.
They did ask your input on that.
We each gave them like 5 single-spaced pages of notes about why we didn't feel like an X-Men script to us, and things we do to fix it. And we maybe got a thank you, but that was that was it. Because in Hollywood, they're risking $100 million on a movie. Maybe no executive is going to hire TV guy or a cartoon guy to write a script that if it succeeds, there's no problem. If it fails, they all look at him and say, why the hell did you hire the guy? Yeah. So they'll hire an A-list movie guy that doesn't know the characters, but then he's got his ass is covered. Well, he's won a couple Oscars. He's had.
They have a formula.
It doesn't translate.
But they have a formula that they go by.
Oh, but the fellow who worked on the X-Men script, we got to meet him later, and I was thrilled with the results of the film as it came out, because we'd seen the original script, and that was rough. David Hayter?
Yeah.
And he shared with us that they didn't really go back and read the books, they went back and watched the show.
And
that's where that's their research.
He said, Bryan Singer just had that show go in the background the whole time. He said he never picked up a comic book. So they went to, that's one reason the team is so similar in the book, is that he did that.
Right, and Fox with the films could have picked any team they wanted to, or could have gone in any direction they did. But again, they
went with a very similar team.
Very similar team to the one that was chosen for the animated series.
It's so odd that they would go with a team that's similar to the animated series. You guys had a huge success, but then they wouldn't use you guys for writing.
Hollywood has a formula.
I don't understand how that works.
Yeah, Hollywood has a formula, and that's how I always figure it.
Yeah.
There's been stuff that's been wonderful. I mean, if we could imagine working with Patrick Stewart or with some of the people that, I mean, it's just some stuff they did just wonderfully. That they could, there have been some terrible adaptations of things in the past. I remember. I don't know if we're supposed to be saying this because it was.
Say it.
Yeah, we had to go in and look under cover of darkness. But one of the people in the process of getting from the bad script we saw and gave notes on to the solid script they ended up with for the first movie was Joss Whedon did a pass.
Oh, wow, really?
And I went in and, again, under lock guard, read it, and it was wonderful. And they asked me, okay, you had all these notes on the first one that it wasn't working right. I was, well, I wouldn't change a word. It works great to me. And so he did a really sharp pass on it. They ended up probably using some stuff out of that. He didn't get any credit. He did a beautiful pass on the story.
Sure. I think that's the one thing that Marvel Studios now and Disney have figured out, to give creative control to the people that are the creative types, as opposed to the executives and the old formula that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And also want to say, I think that's the reason that you see the Warner Brothers DC movies sort of struggling a bit. So
it's hard. It's really hard making a good movie or a good TV series, but having one after the other, at least be to the fans have something good to argue about, versus just something to just dismiss.
And they're all very different. I mean, we're going from a sci-fi fantasy space opera to a World War II timepiece to they're Norse mythology, fantasy, magic. I mean, these are all very different movies, and they're hitting on all cylinders. They're doing really well.
Marvel Comics hit in the early 60s. They had early 60s through 2000 to come up with a decent movie, and they never did. Nobody figured out how to do it, and so Julie always is nice about it. She gives us credit. Well, if we hadn't been in the TV series, they wouldn't have thought to do it.
I will always call it the bridge. They have the great source material of all the comics, and they have these billion-dollar movies, but if it weren't for X-Men the Animated Series, I will take that to the grave. That's the bridge in between that made the other stuff happen.
And I mean, if we're talking about sort of that creative control and being true to the original content, I mean, you have to go back to X-Men the Animated Series and point at that and say, that's how you do it. You guys stay true to the original content. You appease new fans, old fans, adult fans, young fans. I mean, it's still in the lexicon. I mean, when you ask me what my favorite team is, I start naming off characters and I realize it's the Animated Series team. That's it. That's my favorite
in your head.
Team of heroes, and they weren't even an actual team in the comics.
No.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
It's amazing.
What's funny is we were talking on the podcast earlier, he and I, when we read the X-Men comics, the voices.
You guys are 100% on the money with the voices. Rogue, I don't know the voice actress of Rogue, but she has to be one of my favorite voice actresses of all time. She is on point.
You look nervous as a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs.
Get this. She's a legislator. She's a state senator from Nova Scotia.
She's Canadian.
She writes. They're all Canadian, and she writes laws for Canada.
So Lenore Zahn is serving Canada in the legislature.
Wow. She does an awesome Southern bang.
Yeah.
Her voice cracks and everything at the right moment.
Exactly.
And she says that she meets, say, 38-year-old legislators, and they're talking over some sort of serious business for the country, and then somehow it gets mentioned that she was Rogue, and they just stop breathing.
Yeah.
They go weak in the knees and say, you don't understand. I watched all your episodes. Or they don't even have to go into that. She just knows. He was a teenager when the show was on. He was in love with me. I get it. And this is going to be a fun 5 minutes while he tries to recover.
Well, and also a quick story to the voices on X-Men. For various financial reasons, it was going to be all the talent was going to come from Canada, and that's so that no one has to pay a residual. But so they go up there and Canada at the time was. In the early 90s, it was developing its own pool of talent, and they had a lot of people. But the first, Eric had written some sides for the folks to record. They go up, they get these recordings, they come back, and it's like, oh dear, this is not going to work.
It was Scooby-Doo Tom.
What they had done was they had found talent that was used to doing what Saturday morning cartoons.
And it hadn't been communicated to them somehow how seriously we wanted the show to play. And I wasn't involved in the recording, but I got the cassettes, and we just died. We thought, well, the show's dead.
It's a panic at that
over.
time.
It's over. And so Sidney Iwanter and Larry Houston, who's the producer-director, and a couple guys from Marvel, they go up there, and they spend a couple weeks getting a new cast.
And this is in Toronto now.
And making sure they get the gravitas and the intensity and the seriousness of the characters. And they come back, and suddenly we got cassettes, and we're picking. We got 3 good Professor X's, we got 4 good this, and they were all getting it, and it wasn't a lack of talent. It was just a lack of understanding how different we wanted the show to be.
And what Sydney's marching orders to everyone was, well, Toronto is one of the largest theatrical communities.
A lot of Shakespeare.
That makes so much sense.
So that was,
and they knew each other from the theater. Like a lot of them were acting in Stratford, which is they have a Stratford up there near Toronto, and so they knew each other from that. And they were, and they had that. That's why Beast can talk. Can spew poetry naturally without
up a storm.
Yeah,
it's a huge deal.
Storm, mistress of the elements, commands you to release that child.
Lighten up on the speeches, sugar.
Or Professor X and Magneto getting after each other and spouting ideals at each other. These are guys that are used to commanding a stage.
Yes.
And Cal Dodd, the only voice for me of Wolverine, is himself a very talented jazz singer, and that's how he came into
jazz singer.
Beautiful voice.
It was his first gig as a voiceover guy. He'd done commercials and things, but his first gig as a voiceover actor. But if you want, go on caldodd.com. He's got a great CD of jazz classics. Send me to the moon. Wolverine singing like
does the
Sinatra.
And
yeah.
it's great.
And he's good. He's very good at it. He's made his life at it.
It's so weird.
But yeah, cal.com. Yeah.
One thing the voice acting has done. It's one of the unfortunate effects. Is it's almost ruined future characters. Much respect to Halle Berry and the X-Men movies, but when I hear Halle Berry and I hear her playing Storm, that's not Storm. That's not what Storm sounds like. With the exception of Patrick Stewart, he gets
Yeah.
He has commanding presence.
He does. He does.
Trying to find voice talent for these various characters, writing the sides, which are just the small bits that they would say as a character. And then you had written a list of thinking about this character like XYZ, ABC, trying to, and for Professor X.
For Professor X, I think we put down Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Star Trek at the
Interesting that
time.
they would eventually look for him as Professor X.
Yeah, but
They
Wolverine.
found that note again. They're like,
Yeah.
I think we got a good idea right here.
Yeah, because we're wondering when they came back cartoony. I said, we wrote down here for Wolverine, Robert Mitchum, Clint Eastwood, only darker and heavier. And we wrote all this very tough, nasty adult guy stuff, and it just somehow they just read the words. Okay, well we'll get a tough guy, but he'll be cartoony tough. And evidently Cal went sit there up there. And said, well, what's this guy like? And Sidney said, oh, he's kind of feral. Cal growled into the mic. And everybody in the booth, all these people waited.
We got him. We found him. Yeah.
The hair on the back of their neck stood up. And he got it.
Yeah, the same thing with Rogue. With the moment she's like one sentence in, she had it.
Oh, I love Anna Paquin. She's a great actress and everything, but it's a tall order to play that Southern belle for that.
Yeah,
And that's not the Rogue I'm familiar with.
No,
exactly.
I honestly think for all the cool stuff the movies have done, and they've done cool stuff we could have never imagined or paid for it. I don't think they've addressed the women as well as we did in the show.
No.
Storm.
Thank you very much.
Storm and Rogue, and Jean Grey isn't bad. That actress is really sharp, and they've given her more story time.
Sure.
But they haven't given Rogue much of anything to do, and they haven't given Storm much of anything to do. And Rogue is so different, being so young. As the one of the actresses we interviewed for the book said, it's almost like they took Rogue and Jubilee and combined them into one character.
They made her Wolverine's sidekick in the first X-Men movie.
Yeah.
She's literally Wolverine's sidekick.
Yeah. So.
And looking at 1992 when this came out, it wasn't presented as this is groundbreaking material, people, but the strongest people on the team were women.
Yeah.
It was an integrated cast, and that wasn't called out. It was just these are the X-Men.
And
this
it
is the
wasn't
team.
a question. I mean, as a child watching these cartoons, I never thought, oh, why are there so many girls on it? I just thought Rogue was one of the strongest characters.
Mm-hmm.
Storm controlled the weather, so she was awesome, and Jean Grey was I mean, it was just. It was what it was. They were just strong characters, hard hitters.
And it didn't take away from Wolverine and his strengths, or Cyclops and his strengths, or Beast and his. It was just it was true equality.
They were all different, and I think they just in the first couple movies didn't quite know what to do with the women.
Yeah.
And so they just were a little bit of an adjunct. We have it's not like we're in a soapbox or anything, but in Hollywood there tends to be in action shows. Well, you got to make sure to have all the guys, and then maybe a token girl.
Huge mistake.
Yeah.
Huge mistake.
Yeah,
because that's not how it is in obviously in the real world, but in comics as well. There are plenty of strong female characters, and every time you hear some controversy about them not, putting out the female team member as a toy, or there's not enough toys on the shelves for these girls, they're really missing the mark and missing an opportunity. There's a lot of potential.
And speaking of the strong female thing, I noticed in the X-Men animated series, you guys made the President of the United States a woman.
Yeah.
You caught that, eh?
Yeah. We thought we were being prescient. We thought
we did.
it was going to, but
Yeah.
and that was just a fun, all sorts of fun things that we did because we could for secondary stuff.
But that was, again, 1992. Here we are 25 years later. We still don't have that female president.
Still don't have.
But,
Came close.
Came close. Came very close. But, just in terms of presenting that just putting those ideas out there for folks and just possibility and letting it sort of just be in the background for younger people as they grew up watching this. Who knows how how impactful it might be, but at least those ideas were offered. They were put out there. And Dear Professor X was in a wheelchair. That was never called out as this is a person who's differently able. This is just he's Professor X. You know,
we would have a crippled, middle-aged, bald man as a lead character versus all the TV people. Oh, we need relatable characters. All the characters need to be 12,
sexier,
for the kids to watch. Yeah.
So,
No, you guys translated that very well, because that's sort of the cornerstone of the X-Men is diversity and being different and living in that world. And you guys casually introduced characters of different ethnicity, of different colors, of different races, and it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't the center point of this.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, and I remember, given our age, when we were little, what we geeked out on was the original Star Trek series.
Star Trek, yeah.
And they did that very consciously. They just had this. It's the future, and so what the future is going to be is this bridge full of very different looking and sounding people, and they got a lot of pushback from the network, and there were TV stations wouldn't show it. They wouldn't show the show because it was a mixed race cast.
Diversity,
well, it's 1966. Give them credit for that. In the case of the X-Men, we sat down with Marvel and everybody and picked the core team just so that people would complement each other, so that we wouldn't have three gruff guys. We'd have all sorts of different people, and it started out being about half a dozen of the people you know. And just so you know, in the first notes that first month we were working, Beast and Jean Grey and Professor X were not listed in the Group A.
Oh, really?
They were listed as secondary. And use them when you can. That's why we put Beast in jail.
Yeah, you guys had Beast in jail all season.
Because we thought, well, we'll use him for 2 or 3 episodes, and the people will remember he's in jail. Yeah. But as we were writing the first 13, everybody wanted to write for Beast. Everybody realized that to tell the story of the X-Men, you needed Professor X and Jean.
Sure.
And the writing forced us to include them. And it wasn't a Marvel decision, it wasn't a Fox decision, it was the stories making us do it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I noticed that too. I noticed there was the episode, I think, with Colossus, where Colossus is in jail and they go to break him out. And they're like, oh yeah, Beast is in here.
Right next to
Like, hey guys.
go. Now I'm just going to hang out.
I'm going to sit here and read my books.
Yeah,
I love that
reading
he was
it.
always reading upside down.
I'm
reading
cool.
books.
No, I want my day in court. Come on.
And I love
Very
that
noble.
too.
Very noble, yeah.
The idea of civil disobedience and making that conscious choice. I love that as well.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for talking with us, you guys. It's very awesome.
Oh.
Yes. So.
Thank you too. We really appreciate this.
Yeah, and look for the book in
You
late
guys
summer.
have a book?
Yes,
Please,
there
tell
is.
us.
Okay.
The making of, and if you look online, there's a place called Jacobs Brown Media. They're a publisher, and they do a bunch of Star Trek books and Lost in Space, that sort of books, on the making of the series. And so it's like our version of the making of Star Trek. Should be about a 400-page book, interviewing cast, crew, artists, writers, and giving a history of the making of the show. And the schedule is to be published by the 1st of July. We'll see.
Hopefully to get it out for the 25th anniversary season, which is what we're kind of celebrating here now with X-Men.
Yeah. So and you can we'll keep you updated on the website is X-Men. TAS.com, and the Twitter.
Twitter is X-Men TAS. So please follow us there.
And we'll keep you updated on the book. But yeah, it should be sometime this summer.
We're getting off to a quick start today. We have writer James Hudnall. How are you doing today, James?
Very good.
Excellent. So, James, you got your start on, was it Eclipse Comics, if I'm not mistaken? You were an editor with Eclipse Comics?
No, I was a marketing director.
And that's how you kind of got your foothold into the industry, right?
Yeah, I wanted to learn how the business was, how it worked, how to learn how to publish. I wanted to be a writer, but I wanted to understand how to make comics so I could do it myself.
Sure. And what got you into writing?
Well, I always have been a big reader. My dad says when I was a baby, he could stop me from crying by putting a book in my hand. And I learned to read before I went to kindergarten. I was always a big reader. I used to read like 3 or 4 books a week, mostly science fiction, but fantasy. But I always wanted to be a writer. And it was my goal, but I didn't do it initially. I went off, joined the Air Force. When I got out of the Air Force, I went to Coleman College here in San Diego and became a programmer. But then started going to conventions and meeting people and decided I wanted to transition to that, yeah.
Okay, and were you writing early on? Did you write stories or anything, or did you not start writing until you decided that you wanted to actually become a writer?
I did write some stuff, nothing major. The thing is, the keyboard, the typewriter used to drive me nuts because every time I did a typo, I would have to use white space and back up, and I hated it. I bought one of the first PCs when they came out, and that was about the beginning of my career anyways. So we're talking about the 80s.
Sure, and you got your start writing on Espers, right?
Yes.
Now, was Espers was that your series, or
yes.
was that a series that already existed?
It's a series I created, and it was inspired in part because I was a big anime fan. Before there were anime fans, when there was just... When anime fans were really an obscure subgenre, a lot of times we had to watch stuff in Japanese. So anyways, I was influenced by a lot of anime movies at the time that I liked. I was also influenced by comics, American comics like the X-Men and stuff, but I wanted to do something that was like a realistic superhero thing where they didn't wear costumes, where they were people from all walks of life. One of the problems I have with comics in general, superhero comics, is that especially there was a run there in the 80s and 90s where nobody in the story didn't wear a costume. Nobody was like a regular person, and that just drove me nuts because it's hard to relate to. If you're a fan, you can relate to it, but if you're not a fan, and I felt it was always important to try to reach people outside of comics and try to do a story that appeals to people outside of comics. So that was my goal. It's always been my goal, really.
It's funny because over the last few weeks, I've been watching the X-Men animated series for the 25th anniversary, and my son has been watching them with me, and he pointed out that every mutant has a costume on, regardless of what the scene is, regardless if the scene's at a grocery store, out in the city, on a beach. They're in full costume head to toe, and he asked me why are the mutants in costume?
That drives me nuts. See, the thing is, when you look at the comics of the 60s, when Marvel took off, you look at those early Spider-Mans, for example, about 30 to 40% of the story is about Peter Parker and his life as a regular person, and how he's trying to live his normal life and his superhero life.
And trying to balance everything.
And that made the stories as popular as they've become over time. People could relate to that. We should look at the real person. And, really got me later on is that in comics, they just editorially decided that there is no Bruce Wayne. He's Batman's alter ego. He's not a person. He's Batman. That to me is ridiculous. If you take away the normal human, because the thing that appeals to Batman about a lot of people is that he's a regular person, even though he's not, obviously.
Yeah.
But he's not superpowered, and people like the fact that he's not superpowered yet he's able to do all this stuff.
Okay, so you got your chops in Espers, and that did pretty well, and you then went on to start working for the big companies. You started writing for Alpha Flight, which I got to tell you, Tawmis is a huge Alpha Flight fan, and probably the reason why you were contacted.
Well, initially. What happened is I was friends with Brett Anderson. I still am. But Brett Anderson was artist on Strike-Morse Oratory for Marvel. And he said, Peter Gillis and I are leaving the book. And I go, wow, do they have anybody lined up yet? And he goes, no, not yet. Because it was before they started looking. So he gave me Carl Potts' info, and I contacted him. Yeah, as a phone. On the phone. Then I mailed him some of my Espers. And he was really impressed. So he gave me a job writing that book. And then he was also the editor of Alpha Flight. And he said that Bill Mantlo was having trouble coming up with stories, that he basically was asking Carl for ideas for stories. He just felt like Mantlo was kind of burned out on it. So he invited me to take it over, so I did. So that's how I got on that book, and I wrote that for almost 2 years. And then Fabian Nescenza took over.
So you wrote it for about 2 years, and it was mid-run, if I'm not mistaken. It was like in the 50s and 60s already.
Yeah, no, it was 70. It started in the 70s.
Okay.
Basically, Byrne did it for a couple years, then Mantlo did it for a couple years. I had to clean up all of the storylines that Mantlo had set up. I made the mistake which I now know in hindsight that because Alan Moore, when he took over Swamp Thing, he did one issue where he just cleaned up everything, and then just started doing his thing.
Now that's a debate that we have quite a bit. And
I was gonna say I agree with you. You should have just come in, clean slated it, and then done it. Because what Mantelo brought in, I didn't enjoy.
No,
like what he was doing.
He was flailing around. He didn't know what he was doing, really. He just sort of, I think he was either bored or something, but Carl said that he didn't have any ideas for the stories, and he was just asking Carl to give him ideas for stories.
Because I've always felt that with Bill, he was good with doing stuff that has no continuity. ROM, Micronites, those were fine. But when he came on to Alpha Flight, the first thing he did was get rid of most of the original members and start introducing these brand new characters who have absolutely no background. So it felt like he was just getting rid of everyone so he could bring in his own little crew of characters and do whatever he wanted.
What I was trying to do is bring it back to Burns' vision.
Yes.
But because I'm a nice guy, I didn't want to just crap all over what Mantlo had done. So I tried to tie it up in a nice way, and I took like 6 issues or something. And I shouldn't have done that. I know that now. I was trying to make sense of it all, but really I didn't really relate to it at all.
At all, yeah.
He had this character called the Dream Queen, which is basically a ripoff of Mephisto. She was sort of like Sandman, but it's before Sandman. But she's like an evil version of Sandman, and she was basically, you could tell she was modeled after all these different Marvel villains, like Mephisto, who's like supposed to be the devil. I just felt like they're just like the Joker, and a lot of these characters, they just laugh and they growl and they
do
say
something evil with no background.
They're just not really, they don't have any dimension to them. I tried to give her a little bit of dimension, and I think that was a mistake I made. But the other thing is they hired me and they said, we want you to make this like Alan Moore's Swamp Thing. First of all, that's the first non-code book that DC did, and Alpha Flight was a code book, and they were really strict in Marvel at that time. You couldn't use the words hell or damn in a story.
They wanted you to go dark and adult, but keep it for kids.
But no adult or dark. I tried my best, but the other problem is I didn't have the artists I needed because I wanted an artist that I'd worked with early. I did a tryout issue with Hugh Haynes, and it was like issue 76, I think. And that's the guy I wanted. I mean, Carl was great in giving new people their start, like Jim Lee and Mike Mignola started under Carl Potts. He gave them their first jobs. Yeah. I worked with him, Strike Force and Moratoria. I worked with Mark Bagley.
Awesome.
Yeah, Mark Bagley. I wanted Mark Bagley to go to Alpha Flight.
Oh, that would have been amazing.
But he wanted to put him on something else.
Probably New Warriors.
Yeah, I think so. The guy that he gave me, he was like very influenced by Steve Rude, but he really wasn't there yet. And he just had an awkward way of drawing what I was talking about, and I just didn't feel he was right for that particular storyline. Normally I talk to my artist, but I did talk to him a few times, but I don't know, we just didn't gel properly. And then DC gave me some work too, so I worked at DC for a while.
What did you do with DC?
I did Lex Luthor, the unauthorized biography. It's basically the story of Lex Luthor. I'm more of a DC fan than a Marvel fan. I always loved Lex Luthor, the character. I like the idea of doing a story about Lex Luthor that was a crime story that had no superheroes in it. A lot of times the writers in comics, they'll put Lex Luthor in a story, but they'll make him do stupid things. I wanted to show that he's supposed to be
a genius,
a serious threat to Superman, but he has no powers, and the only way to do that is to show why that is. So that's what my whole story was. And for some reason, though, DC decided not to keep it in print. I don't know why. I did that. I did a book called Streets for them. I did the first creator-owned book for DC, which was called The Psycho. I did that with Dan Barrett. We've been trying to get a movie made of that for a while. It was picked up by Universal for a while, and we still got it in production, but we don't have a studio yet, but we've got writers and everything.
Speaking of getting stuff into other media, didn't you have a story that got picked up by X-Files or something
like that? Yes, it was called Harsh Realm, and it's a series I did for Paris Comics. It was picked up as a series by Chris Carter, but I ended up having to sue him because, here's the thing, my agent contacted me and he said there's 2 producers that are interested in doing Harsh Realm, and he says, which one do you want to go with? And I said, who are they? And he goes, Chris Carter and James Cameron.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, huh. And I decided to go with Carter because Carter was making shows, and Cameron just sits on things. He buys things.
Right.
Like he's supposedly finally getting around to Battle Angel Alita, which he's bought in 1990. Oh, wow. He still hasn't made it. So, and he had a tendency of just taking forever to get around to projects. So I wanted to see something get done. Sure. And Carter was doing X-Files and Millennium at that time. So yeah, I said go ahead with him. Well, he was a he basically, he didn't want to talk to me or the artist, and he changed the story dramatically from the future to the present. Mine was about an artificial reality. Basically, it's about a detective looking for somebody who went into this artificial pocket universe, which is in this future. Supercomputers can generate these pocket universes where they have a fleshed out world with people and everything. It's all computer generated, but so the whole story is a commentary on video games, how
like MMOs basically.
So it's about how this teenager goes in there and likes it so much that killing people that he becomes like super powerful, like a super villain basically in this world. And then he didn't want to give us credit on the TV show.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, so we had to sue him for that. Well, what I found, the deal that I made with the comic publisher, I never thought it would ever get made because it was so far out that I thought nobody's ever going to make this.
Yeah.
And I just signed this contract. But what I found is you have to insist in every contract you sign for a creative thing that there's a clause that says if anyone makes this into a film or anything else, that you get credit.
Yeah.
If you don't have that in there, they cannot give you credit. Now, normally, most people would give you credit anyways because they know the value of doing that. We did get a settlement and everything, and I do have credit on the show now. It's available on DVD.
Yeah.
And we have credit on every episode.
So before we started recording, we were talking about video games. Actually, have you ever considered writing for video games?
I've always wanted to do that, but I just never knew who to talk to about it. I've always been a gamer. Really, like from ancient times. In the early days, games had horrible writing. I never pursued it that much. I did pursue it as a programmer because I'm a programmer also, but I just never got the opportunity, and I would have loved to because I could have done some great stuff, I think.
I think the writing's really come around. I mean, you have games like Knights of the Old Republic and Mass Effect, rich
I wouldn't
writing,
say Mass
rich
Effect was
fight.
good.
No?
You don't like Mass Effect?
No, I like it, but the ending of the third one was so bad. It's got to be the worst ending I've ever seen.
No.
Everyone argues about that.
Yeah.
I didn't mind the end for Mass Effect 3. I was one of the few people
I just thought it was weak.
The Witcher 3, though, that's
because the writing. First of all, it's the game I've always dreamed about since I've been playing games. I mean, this is how real it is. If you go to different places in the game, the quality of light in the sky is different. That's the way it is in the world. If you live here, it's one thing, but if you go to England, quality of light is totally different.
Well, it's actually overcast both right now.
Yeah, they got so many details down to the most finite level in that game. It blows away anything I've seen. But what's really amazing is they gave you all these DLCs that costumes and missions and stuff. They just gave them to you for free. They have the 2 DLC games that they added on, as big or bigger than a lot of games are.
Oh wow!
They're like 30 hours of gameplay up a DLC. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have to check. Dude, I'm gonna have to check it out. So you are currently working on a series of novels at the moment. The first one came out in 2013, right?
Right.
And the second one was slated to come out in 2015. Did that one get published?
No, because I lost my leg. If you lose your leg, you're kind of gloomy for a while.
Oh yeah, I bet.
So I'm getting back into it now. Hell's Reward is the first book, and Heaven's War is the second book in the series. I also have another series that I'm working on, which is called The Secret Team. It's my take on superheroes. It's in novels, though. And the first book is called Diogenes. So I've been writing that in Heaven's War. This week I wanted to get out before the con, but I didn't get it out in time. But coming out this week on Amazon, you'll be able to buy Two to the Chest, which is a comic series I did. So the graphic novel collection is coming out, and that's a crime fiction kind of story I did. So that's coming out this week.
Oh, how many issues did you get into that series?
5, but it's open for more. It's a story that I've always wanted to do, and I like crime fiction. I did, for example, I did Streets, which is the first crime fiction series that DC did. Crime fiction is a different thing. It's about people in a criminal world and dealing with. It's more about human nature and that sort of thing.
Where can folks find your work?
Yes, you can go to my website, jameshudnall.com, or 410 Media, which is my publishing company. FORTANMEDIA.com.
Excellent. And that's James Hudnall, JamesHudnall.com. Thank you very much for chatting with us, James. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
All right. It was nice meeting you.
Very much, man.
What's your title with the San Diego Comic Fest, man?
I am chairman of San Diego Comic Fest, president of Little Fish Comic Book Studio, and the world's youngest comic book historian.
The world's youngest comic book historian? No way.
Yes.
How long have you been doing the comic book history stuff?
I started doing the comic book history thing I started pursuing it around 2009 when I realized it's like, wait, you can actually make a career about talking about the history of comic books and how it impacts society. And you just be versed on all this geek culture stuff. I'm like, wow, that sounds amazing.
And people will listen to you.
And people will actually listen to me. I can't believe that. I mean, I really can't believe it either. But here I am 8 years later, and I'm doing it.
What did you grow up reading?
Well, the thing is, I started off reading comics, but, my favorite toys at the time were Lego Pirates. And I got this Lego Pirate set that had a comic book included with it. And I was like, oh, wow. And I was like, Mom, read this to me. Mom, read this to me. And I'd be like, and she got tired of that, 15 times a day. But then she says, okay, we are going to get you hooked on phonics, and we're going to teach you how to read so you can stop bugging me for this. These little white balloons above the characters, they now had meaning. And so I learned to read from that. And so, wow, my dad was actually impressed. He's like, my son is reading now just from this Lego Pirate book. And so that year was 1992, and he just said, well, let's go get you some more books now that you're reading. And I remember walking into Toys R Us and just seeing all of a sudden this shiny hologram cover. And there was a character on it. His name was Spider-Man. I remember being able to read that. And of course, if you were like me, you were really suckered in by those hologram covers of the early 1990s. And I learned to read those Spider-Man issues until they were just falling apart. So I became a hardcore Spider-Man fan just from that time there. And so, yeah, I grew up reading Spider-Man. He was my guy.
Yeah, Thomas and I constantly talk about the gimmicky covers from the 90s with the holograms and the prism covers. But they were actually really good at drawing people's attention, and people bought those, and they were really good sellers.
And, I've grown to encompass all things comics, cartoons, and animations. And, here I am. It's wonderful.
Steeped in the culture, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the 5th annual San Diego Comic Fest, and this is the first year we have it at this location. Is that correct?
Yes, it's the first year at the 4 Point Sheraton Hotel, and so it's so much better than it was in these past years. I really like this location just because we have grown and evolved, and now that we've, but sometimes you grow too big for your big boy pants, and you just gotta move up into new things. So we've appreciated the time at the Town and Country, but now we've moved to a new location, and I think it suits us better for what we're going for in this convention.
I like it so far.
Yes,
we just got here. Thomas and I literally just pulled up, sat down, and it's very impressive. It's a very nice layout. The traffic seems to be flowing really well, and we're excited for the panels today. So what kind of panels can we be expecting this weekend?
What kind of panels can we be expecting this weekend? Well, we have the 25th anniversary of the X-Men cartoons with the creators, Eric and Julia Lewald. I just met them last night, and they were just a delight, just still so passionate about their work. Other panels that we have the Jack Kirby Centennial, which is we are celebrating the 100th birthday of the King of Comics. And so we have several panels about him, the Silver Age of comic art, and several people who spent their careers working with Jack. Talk about the creator who's had such a significant impact on this medium. Is just a wonderful opportunity. And the fact that we get to be the guys kicking off Jack's 100th, even before the other conventions, I mean, that's quite an honor.
Yeah, that's very cool. Do we have any art galleries or anything opening up this weekend?
Well, in terms of art galleries, we are going to be doing a panel on the San Diego Comic Art Gallery with the manager TJ Shevlin, and it is going to be hosted by me. We are also going to have local comic art collector Steve Hendricks talking about his collection of Archie comics that is now on display there. So he's been collecting Archie material for about 40 years now, and so now that he has a proper way to display it. Because I mean, what good is a whole bunch of art if you're just keeping it in a binder for yourself? Put that up on the walls and share it with the world.
Yeah, exactly. So, you being a comic historian, do you have any panels?
Yes, I will be giving a couple presentations. I will be doing one tomorrow morning where we talk about the marketing and just collections of fandoms and stuff like that. That's at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. So we're going to be talking about how to market fandoms and how to make collections out of them.
Okay, and how's the culture here in San Diego as far as pop culture and comics, sci-fi?
San Diego has the absolute best fandom culture in the entire world. Now the thing is, because we celebrate these geeky fandoms. And geeky fandoms, when you do this geeky stuff, you're doing it very isolated. You read comics alone. Yeah. You watch movies alone. Yeah. And, I mean, you draw art alone. But, and then we have this, big, wonderful San Diego Comic-Con that we have every summer, and everyone comes out of their nerd caves for
everybody
it.
Out of
but
the
then
shadows.
They all leave away. And so that just pains me because, the first thing I do when I'm done with a great story, you know what? I really wish I could talk about that with someone.
Yeah.
Like with Little Fish Comic Book Studio and IDW Publishing and the San Diego Comic Art Gallery and all of these, wonderful, wonderful groups that can help cultivate these fandoms and help just move things forward and get people into their shared interests and just have a wonderful time. That's really what I love.
Sure. Do you ever consider bringing maybe in some of the breweries or the tabletop communities in on this?
Oh yeah, it's like we've talked to a couple of breweries, and so in the coming years we will be bringing in some more folks to be helping out with that. So I can't say anything just yet, but keep your eyes and taste buds peeled for the next year. And I'm just so happy and pleased with how everything has progressed forward, and it's going to be getting bigger and better, and we can only go up from here.
That's very cool. Very cool. Okay, so where can folks find your work, Matt?
Where can you find my work? Well,
where can they find you?
Oh, where can you find me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, you can always just add me on Facebook, Matt Dunford, MattDunford. Add me on Facebook, add me on Instagram. I don't really use Twitter all that often just because I get hacked by porn bots, but so that's
it happens to the best of us.
It happens to the best of us.
You gotta hack them back. That's the trick.
Oh yeah, that's what I gotta do. I'll show you.
Yeah, right.
Now you'll give me your credit card information now. Odds are, if there's a geeky event going on, I'm there. I mean, if you hang out at the San Diego Comic Art Gallery long enough, I'll show up. If you're at a comic convention like San Diego Comic Fest, you'll find me there. And just all around town, or at Little Fish Comic Book Studio.
Cool. And what comic book studio was that?
That is Little Fish Comic Book Studio, San Diego's premier comic art and storytelling education studio.
Boom. There you have it. Cool. Thank you very much, Matt. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Absolutely. All right. We have Becky Yard and Mikey Costin here at the San Diego Comic Fest 2017. What's up, guys? How's your Comic Fest going?
Good. It's doing good.
Cool. So you were just talking about some work that you guys were doing. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, we actually released a magazine called Soda Pop, and it's an anthology of 4 different artists, and we also have movie reviews in there as well.
Who are the 4 different artists?
Well, I'm Becky Yard, and then it's
Costin, Matt Costin, Joel Stokes, and soon to be Levi Stokes. So a bunch of brothers.
Oh, cool. Very cool. And these so this magazine that you guys have, how long have you guys been running for?
It just started, actually. This is our first issue. We just premiered it here.
Yeah.
And, we did a Comic Fest exclusive one with a Jack Kirby tribute.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So each one of these artists basically did a story for the book?
Yeah.
We all did stories. We have some articles, and we have an article just with the tribute pinups to Jack Kirby.
So do you guys write and draw the books?
Yep.
Oh, no way. And how long are these stories generally?
About 12 to 20 pages apiece.
Yeah.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Do you guys plan on doing ongoing, or are they
Yes.
self-contained?
Yeah, we definitely plan to do it ongoing. I mean, the next issue will come out May.
Yeah. Most of the stories, they're ongoing, but they also have like a lot of the stories wrap up, and then they just continue the world with the characters. And so we just wanted a place where all the different varieties of stories that we have in us that we can put out. So like for instance, I'm doing 2 stories in this issue. I'm doing one which is in the life of Mikey, which is about when I worked at a comic store, which she now works at.
Right.
Another one I'm doing is just a comic strip about a guy that's rivals with his own girlfriend, trying to get social media attention.
Oh, wow. Is this based on real life? Or No, not at all. All right, tell me about Star Shooters, Becky.
Well, Star Shooters is about 2 brothers who are trying to save 9 planets from Captain No-Brainer. So he's this alien with a no brain, obviously. And it's just a sci-fi comedy series I just started doing, and I got inspired.
Ooh, you're dabbling in comedy, huh?
Yeah, I'm dabbling with comedy. And I just got inspired by these characters after I drew them for Inktober. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
No. Tell me about Inktober.
Oh, well, Inktober is like an art event that happens yearly in October. So all the artists...
Oh,
it's a social media thing, but you have to do an ink drawing every day for 31 days.
Yes, okay.
So what I did is, well, with my friends, we actually mixed it up. So we did like a different topic every week. So one week was sci-fi. Okay. And so that's how I created these characters. And so after I drew
grew
them,
fond of these characters.
Yeah,
you liked them,
and I liked them, and my brother liked them. And I actually, these characters are actually named after my brothers.
Oh, cool.
Ben and Daryl. So
nice.
Yeah, so I was just like, oh, I think this would be just a cute story to start off and everything. So this is my first comic that I actually published.
Okay, so you got the sci-fi comedy angle covered.
Yeah.
Mikey, what's your comic about again?
Mine's Slice of Life. It's like, for this issue, it's the day in the life of Mikey working at a comic book store. So it's based off of real customers that I interacted with. A real guy that came in armed, robber came into the store. Just some crazy stuff, fantasized at the end. But But that's a self-contained story for this issue, and so we do have a lot of self-contained stories and then ongoing stories too.
Cool. So you guys have the first issue that you're debuting here at San Diego Comic Fest. When can we see, or when can we expect the second issue?
Probably the end of May. We're actually going to work on doing a 3D issue for Comic-Con, all 3D version for the second issue. So the second issue will have a regular version and a 3D version.
A 3D version?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because we just figure some people can't handle 3D.
Yeah. So are you doing old school 3D with the red and the blue?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Old school, all the way.
You're going to include 3D glasses in the book and everything?
3D glasses with it.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
And we're going to have some 3D t-shirts at Comic-Con for it.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. Do you guys plan on putting these out digitally?
Yeah, we actually, we're opening a MagCloud store. It's under Kingmakers. And
what's where can they find the store?
Just magcloud.com. If you go there and they have a little store search engine and you type in Soda Pop Magazine and you'll see it in there. So.
Do you guys have any other social media set up for the Soda Pop Magazine?
Right now we have a Tumblr, and we also have our Kingmakers comics.com page. And comics is spelled with an IX, by the way.
Comics with an IX?
Yeah, like the underground kind of style. You know?
Sure. Well, thank you guys. Thank you guys for sharing, and best of luck to you.
All right.
And find you guys on
Kingmakers.com.
Your Majesty, please have a seat with me. There's a little bit of magic involved in this.
This is magic you're doing here.
Yes, absolutely. Today we have with us Queen Babette at the San Diego Comic Fest 2017. How are you doing today, Your Majesty?
Quite well, thank you, my lord. How are you?
Excellent. I'm doing excellent. Please explain to us. You are in a very regal dress, regal outfit, obviously because you are a queen. Very beautiful dress, beautiful crown. So could you explain to us the culture behind what you guys are doing?
So we do what's called Renaissance recreation, because we're not actually reenacting events that happened. Women can be knights. There's no plague unless it's once a year at a war that we have plague at on purpose.
There's no plague unless there is a plague?
It's a war.
And okay. So the plague is a war.
So we're trying to recreate the good parts of the medieval times. So we have the nobility, the chivalry, the wonder, and the wonderful outfits and the beautiful art, the knights in shining armor and the knights in rusty armor.
The knights do actually compete, but with different armor sets and weapons as well, right?
Exactly. There's pole arms and axes and swords. It's all real steel and it's non-choreographed. So they're out there bashing away at each other, yeah.
How widespread is this society? Is this local here to the city of San Diego?
It's actually international. We have a lot of kingdoms in Canada.
So the international chapters, they also sort of keep the knighthood. What I'm trying to get at is, in Japan, you don't have people dressed as samurais.
So we're strictly recreating Western Europe.
Sure.
And it's anywhere from 793, the Raiden Lindisfarne, the Viking one, to 1625. So that the death of King James. And so anything in between there is fair game, as long as it's Western Europe.
How long has this been going on?
I think that we're about to celebrate our 30th anniversary here next year. So.
Very cool. What is the name of your house?
My house's name is Glamour Nadell.
Okay.
But we band with a whole bunch of other houses that fought for me. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Our kingdom for San Diego is called Terra Nuve, which means new land.
Okay.
And so that's the San Diego area.
So if someone wanted to get involved, where would they start?
They could go online, the Empire of Adria, and kind of look at the map and see what you're close to and just go. I mean, some of the most wonderful people I've ever met. Next weekend we'll be at Morley Field, which is kind of part of Balboa Park where the archery range is. And we'll be having our most romantic event. It's when the combatants fight monsters to win roses for the ladies.
And once again, where can we find you guys?
Online, it's called the Empire of Adria.
Thank you very much, Your Majesty. Thank you for coming on and talking to us.
I was so nervous and you made it so easy.
Okay, so with us today we have one of the female combatants, Lady Kaya Demerite of the Kingdom of Esperance. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Very, very well. So now you are a lady combatant of your kingdom. Tell me, what kind of combat do you participate in?
Well, I do two types of sword fighting. So I do shinai, which is a Japanese bamboo wooden sword.
Okay.
that hurts a lot.
Yeah,
when
it
you
sounds
get
like it
hit.
hurts. Yeah.
And now I am doing rapier, which is if you think of the Three Musketeers, that's basically what it is.
Sure. Now, do these type of weapons require full armor, or do you do this in leathers?
Well, with the ones that I do, we do a light gear. So I use a little bit of the steel armor, but I don't wear the full suit of armor because I am not certified for that yet. So
You have to be certified for that.
well, you have to test into it, and I think you have to be a knight to do that. So, which I am not.
So does the Queen knights the warriors, and then that's how they officially become knights?
Well, actually, it's a little more than that. I am currently a squire to a knight, so I'm, I guess, a knight in training.
Sure.
What I have to do is I have to earn points. So I have to win competitions. I have to gain enough points to move up to become a knight.
Sure.
So I also compete in archery.
So I have to ask, how is Milady faring?
I am doing well, actually, with my competitions. I just moved up to huntsman. In archery, we have bowman and huntsman, and so now I'm a huntsman.
And how long have you been competing?
Actively competing, I think I've been a part of this for maybe a year or two now.
Okay. So what made you decide to become a combatant?
Now, don't get me wrong, I love the arts.
Sure.
I love...
Who doesn't?
being able to make dresses and everything is pretty fun. I've always loved sword fighting, and I've always loved archery. My grandfather is actually the one who got me into this.
Your grandfather is?
My grandfather is the King of Esperance currently, and his game name would be King Donovan.
Going down the combat path. What do you aspire to become? A knight?
Yes, I want to be a combat knight.
I have to ask this. Are female knights common? Are there a lot of female knights?
We definitely give the option of female knights. Now they could be a combat knight, a knight in archery, ministry, or the arts. We try and be as period correct as possible.
Sure.
But when it comes to...
Be inclusive. You want to be inclusive.
Yes, we want our female combatants and male combatants to have the same level of respect. We want them to be able to enjoy the same things.
The Kingdom of Esperance, am I pronouncing that correctly? Who's your rival?
We don't have any rival kingdoms.
Really?
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a negative, like, who do you guys hate? But who are you guys constantly at war with? Yeah. Umbria. Arizona.
We have a kingdom down in Phoenix, Arizona. They are the Kingdom of Umbria.
Hey, nothing wrong with a little
that's a
competition.
very funny one because of my experiences. No, they're all great people down there.
Sure.
We're not, segregated in different kingdoms. We're all a part of the Adrian Empire.
But when Umbria shows up, you guys know they're the ones to beat. Absolutely.
No, I did not say that.
The Queen was just mentioning that Lady Kaya does kick on the field, and it's very satisfying when she kicks the of what was the name of the kingdom? Umbria. When she kicks Umbria's.
No.
Sorry, guys. We need some action here. Exactly. A little bit of drama.
You are going to get me in so much trouble. You do know this.
I understand you can kick anyone about anyone.
That's it.
Especially in Umbria.
Yeah.
Like everyone here is talking about it.
Thank you very much, Lady Kaya Damrite, and we're gonna have to come out and check you guys out.
Please do. It's
Absolutely.
really fun.
Okay, today we have the founder and president-elect of the Science Fiction Coalition, Sean Mullen, and with him is the vice president, Shane Hawley. How are you guys doing today?
Pretty good, thank you.
I'm well. I'm good, thanks.
Guys, tell us about this new community that's coming up, the Science Fiction Coalition.
Well, I'm Sean Mullen. I am the founder of the Science Fiction Coalition. I decided to come up with a science fiction club. In San Diego, there are many other science fiction clubs, but mostly are social or not very active. And I wanted something very active in the community and very diverse. So we do more than social events. We support the community of San Diego, and also we're very active in charity. Also, hopefully very soon, movie theater events also. We're based in San Diego, but eventually I would like us to broaden our horizons and maybe
branch out,
sign up for conventions up in the Los Angeles and Orange County areas as well.
And you guys have been around since January, you mentioned, right?
Yes, we're only 7 weeks old right now.
Oh, wow. 7 weeks old. So is this your first major convention that you guys have come out to?
Yeah, this is our first major convention that we've been able to come out to. We're looking to trying to get to a couple other ones, like you said, branching up into LA doing WonderCon. I believe we're going to be doing CondorCon here soon, another local San Diego con, and then hopefully we'll be seasoned enough to get into the granddaddy of them all, SDCC, San Diego Comic-Con.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay, so you mentioned doing some charity work. What kind of charity work do you guys have in mind?
Our very first event was last month, and we helped raise funds for Make-A-Wish, and we were invited to a Food for Less, and we brought some cosplay characters, some superheroes and some Star Wars characters, and we asked for donations for cell phone pictures with the shoppers that were going to
That's a very good idea. That's a very good idea.
Yes.
So what kind of cosplayers did you guys have?
Well, right now, the most we have is Star Wars, Marvel, and DC. And we're hoping, like at conventions like this, to recruit others, like from Star Trek, Alien, other movies. We're actually trying to prepare for the new Alien movie in May. We're trying to land a theater event for Alien. We're trying to invest a life-size Alien.
Full-on costume?
Well, Alien prop.
Sure. Okay.
Well, if somebody has an Alien costume, they're more than welcome to join us.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. What do you guys have pictured for the coalition?
Well, when I visioned the club, diversity, charity events, being help promoting movie theaters, the new movies. Star Wars clubs do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, heck yeah. Heck yeah.
Well, I'm like, why not have a club that does the other sci-fi movies?
Hey, Tawmis, they're looking for Guardians of the Galaxy cosplayers, man.
Oh, yeah.
Tawmis, Tawmis does.
Ironically, I was going to wear my Star-Lord jacket.
You should have worn yours. He has the jacket, the mask. Yeah, he has the whole deal. He has a stuffed raccoon that he carries around with him too.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, the group plant. Awesome. That's right.
That's awesome.
Okay, so where can folks find the Science Fiction Coalition? Do you guys have a online presence?
So we're on Facebook under Sci-Fi Coalition on Facebook, and then you can also find us on our website, which is sci-ficoalition.org.
Okay.
You go through there and you sign up. It's in the very early workings. We're going to be working on a forms process as well too, just to kind of put up any events or things that we got going on, just so that way everybody can kind of know and kind of sign up for it, and that way it's a little bit easier instead of calling everybody, hey, we got an event on Friday, you want to show up?
Yeah.
Yes. Twitter.
What's the Twitter handle?
I think it's Sci-Fi Coalition. Yeah.
Sci-Fi Coalition.
Yep. And then I believe here in the next couple of weeks we'll be doing Instagram.
Yes, hopefully. I got to get on that.
Yep. So what's the next convention that they can find the Science Fiction Coalition at?
CondorCon.
Thank you very much, Sean. Thank you very much, Shane. Yes. Appreciate it, you guys, and best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you.
Wow. So we're here, second day of the San Diego Comic Fest 2017. And last night they held a Name That Tune contest. And you would think that they had a bunch of pre-recorded tunes from different TV shows. No, they had a live band. They had the Telenauts playing these tunes, and we're very lucky with us to have Armand, the leader of the band, the Telenauts. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing really well, thank you. So I have to ask you this. Telenauts sounds like you guys specialize in covering TV jingles, correct?
TV theme songs.
TV theme songs, yeah.
We're going to expand soon into commercials.
Oh, wow.
But
so you guys are going into the jingle business.
Yeah, but to start, we're just doing the covers of TV themes.
And do you guys specialize in these types of contests, or do you normally go out and play bars and events and stuff like that?
Now, when you say normally, I have to tell you that this was our maiden voyage.
Oh, nice.
To perform at Comic Fest, right?
Oh, very cool.
All of us have played other kinds of music together in different bands, but this is the first time this band has played together, and it's the first time we performed TV show themes.
So walk me through a quick set list of the TV show themes. What are your the main shows that you guys will be covering?
Oh gosh, we have Gilligan's Island,
classic.
The Munsters,
nice.
WKRP in Cincinnati,
wow.
Andy Griffith,
nice.
Hogan's Heroes, Benny Hill. Right?
So the Benny Hill,
we have a sax player. So the name of
Yakety Sax.
The name of the tune is Yakety Sax.
Yakety Sax.
We have an awesome tenor sax player named Nightshade, and he knows the whole thing. So.
Oh wow. How many members are there in the Telenauts?
Currently, there are 5 of us.
Oh, very cool.
No one's quit yet, so
That's
there's
good.
still 5.
That's good. No one's quit before the maiden voyage. That's awesome. Do you guys plan on adding more theme songs to the set list?
Yes. So we started out with this performance with about 30 songs.
That's a lot of songs.
It sounds like a lot of songs, but you got to realize that with TV themes, they're all about 1 minute long or less. Because
it's just the intro.
That's the intro to the show.
What are your personal favorite TV theme songs?
My favorite one to play is Sanford and Son.
Sanford and Son.
Yeah.
That's such a good song.
I was doing a little research on just the sheet music and all that, and I found a copy, and at the top, the musical directions were Junkyard Funky. So that's how we tried to play it.
That is actually another good name for a band too, as well. Junkyard
Absolutely,
Funky.
yeah.
If you're doing a little funk band, how would you say the first gig went?
The first gig went really well. My goal was to make sure that the audience outnumbered the band.
Yeah.
So, I'd say there was about 100 people there, maybe a little less. I don't know,
Nice.
but it was nice to have a good audience.
TV theme songs can sometimes be very underappreciated.
Yeah, and I've been discussing this with the band and with my friends and everybody, and that people connect more to TV theme songs than they do to regular pop songs. The regular pop songs kind of come and go over a 3 or 5 year period. A few classics that linger.
For example, the Addams Family theme song. Even if you've never watched an episode of the Addams Family, people know immediately to snap their fingers at that point.
Yes.
For some reason.
A lot of those theme songs have a large cultural momentum,
Yes.
I would say. So in future generations, the song might show up and people are singing along with it, but they don't know where it even originally came from or what it was. But it's still there. It's part of the culture now.
What would you consider to be the last big original TV theme song that has come out?
Probably Futurama.
Oh, that was so good. I love that show.
Futurama's good, and Family Guy. That's another one.
So what's the next event for the Telenauts?
The next event for the Telenauts is more rehearsal, because we plan on coming back to more conventions. There was a lot of interest in the band at this convention, so I think we're going to come back and do more conventions. I'd like to get the band playing out somewhere where people could come sing along.
Oh,
have
absolutely.
a sing-along event.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be cool.
So,
Okay, Armand, thank you very much for coming to chat with us. And where can we follow? Do you guys have a online presence?
we do. Right now it's on Facebook. If you get on Facebook and you search for Telenauts.
How is Telenauts spelled?
Telenauts.
Christina, so what brings you to the San Diego Comic Fest 2017 in San Diego, California?
Well, this is my first Comic Fest. This year will be my 20th Comic Con.
Oh, cool.
My friend's actually doing a toy show here, so he invited me to come down and try it out. It's pretty cool. I'm actually really excited. I like the feel. It feels really grounded, like you're back at home and kind of like doing that Comic Con 15 years ago, I'd say, where you get to know people, you actually get to meet people. People are cool. Nobody's got a head too big.
Yeah, exactly.
I like it.
And it's not like elbows to elbows, shoulder to shoulder packed. So they're doing a toy show. Do they have a booth, a toy booth?
Yes. It's One Shot's World Toys. I just did a really cool panel, though. I went over to the Star Wars panel where they were talking about the logistics of the Death Star. It was really awesome.
Oh, really? They broke it down like that?
Yeah, like no handrails. There's no...
No, it was a very dangerous place. Yeah,
No Disability Act.
OSHA was definitely not around.
OSHA didn't care.
Yeah, no, there's zero handrails.
That was really cool. I've never been able to be at a panel like that was talking about the logistics. I'm a huge comic nerd.
So you're into comics. What is your bread and butter when it comes to the comic world?
So right now I'm kind of into the Civil War.
The Civil War II or the Civil War movie?
I
Okay.
like Civil War II.
What do you like about it? Okay, because I have my beefs with this.
Oh, do you? Okay,
a little bit.
And then when we talk old school, like I like old Star Wars comics, and I like old. When I was a kid, I'm a woman, so I liked Archie's.
Sure.
I'm not going to put it down.
No, there's
I liked
nothing
it.
wrong
It got
with
me
it.
into comics.
It's still going.
I loved it.
It has a show. Yeah.
I loved it. Okay, so I'm having a brain freeze. What's the name of the new
Ms. Marvel?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love her. I love her.
Yeah.
I love her. I love her. I love her. You know, changing the ethnicity of the different characters. I love
absolutely.
having a Middle Eastern female strong character. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, okay, so that's Ms. Marvel. So you're a fan of the recent changes, like the new generation of characters that are coming out, right? You have there's the female Iron Man, the female Thor, female Wolverine with X-23.
Female Hulk.
Well, we've always had the
I
She-Hulk.
love her.
She-Hulk's been around
Yeah,
for a
she's
while.
awesome.
That's
I would
an
turn green.
oldie but goodie.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
An Asian Hulk,
Nice.
right? Asian Hulk.
Yeah.
Help me out here. Captain America is now Falcon. The Falcon is Captain
I
America.
didn't-
So you have this whole generation of characters that are sort of changing different ethnicities and genders.
I think the future of Civil War II is going in the right direction. I think it's really trying to accept people for who they are and accept people for the differences they are, regardless of what gender or what specific powers they might have.
Yeah.
They're really blurring the lines of gender. They're blurring the lines of the abilities, where it was really a misogynistic comic originally.
Oh, it was meant for boys, for young boys. Yeah.
So when I was younger, it was hard for me to identify with the comic world.
Be honest with me here, and just between you and I and
20 million listeners.
30 million listeners.
30 million listeners.
Did you really like Civil War II? Did you like the story, with the Inhumans and?
Okay, let me get back. Let me rewind. I like the direction that the comic is going.
Mm-hmm.
The storyline for me isn't as important as just the movement that it's making. To now you have so many things. You have all these wonderful characters to be able to identify with, and so that kind of takes precedence for me over the story. I understand the storyline's not as strong as other comics that we've seen and read, but I do enjoy the fact that we get to experience so many different cultures. You can really change the world with comics if people just...
What's your favorite female comic book character?
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman's awesome. She's a classic. There's nothing wrong with
We
that.
were born in the same year. No, I'm just joking.
What do you feel? How do you feel about the recent Gal Gadot? Not a fan.
Not a fan.
Who was that?
She looks a little... I just really would wish they'd keep it more classic.
You're thinking more...
I'm thinking more like...
Xena, Warrior Princess.
Thank you. So she was a little too petite, a little too perfect. I wish they would have gone with that bigger...
A little more ruggedness.
Like a little more,
rougher on the edges. Batman, Superman, and her fighting against Doomsday. I thought she held her own very well.
Well, that'll take us into the topic of how I do not like DC.
Okay, the movies, the comics, or...
all of it. I'm just not a big fan. I like DC because it's got some of my favorite classic characters, but I don't like anything they've ever done. I like the characters they've created in the 30s and 40s, 50 years.
So you don't like The Dark Knight, The Dark Knight Returns?
I just think they always miss the mark.
You know what sucks is that DC and Warner Brothers are stacked with characters, right? I mean, just let alone Batman,
literally.
Superman,
everybody.
Wonder Woman, the Joker, Harley Quinn now.
So many good ones.
And they're blowing it. They're blowing it with these top names. Disney has this thing where they're really good about giving creative control to their little studios.
To the people who have the creative mind.
They said, all right, these comic book characters are yours. We'll basically fund your movies. You make them. And we have... these
great
amazing movies. Star Wars, kicking butt.
Logan coming out. I mean, come on, it's going to be amazing.
Well, Logan is Fox Studios.
Is it Fox?
The
But
X-Men.
Don't they own? I thought they ended up mixing together. No,
they did not.
Wow.
They did not.
Those are good movies. I'm sorry, whoever's listening,
like-
but I really like all the
You like
X-Men.
the X-Men movies?
Yeah, I'm a
Wow,
fan.
really?
Oh, I'm not going to say I'm not. I'm a fan. I do like the X-Men movies. I love Professor Xavier. I think the Magneto.
The James McAvoy, the new Professor
I do
Xavier,
love
or
James
Patrick
McAvoy.
Stewart?
I like them both. I'm not going to
Yeah?
tell you I don't like. I
Yeah,
like
they're
them
pretty
both.
good. They're both
really
pretty good.
I think James McAvoy is a really talented actor. I think he's amazing.
Oh,
The stuff that he
absolutely.
does. I like the way that those X-Men movies have kept my interest for the last 10 years. Or however long
Yeah.
it's been. It's been nice that they slowly draw it out. And you
Yeah.
get like this nice little feel. You actually start to be friends with these people in your mind.
And then they reboot it.
And then they reboot it. And then then they take away Rebecca Romaine, and they're like, "Oh, you're nobody."
Yeah, you're gone.
We like Jennifer Lawrence.
Jennifer Lawrence is good now.
Yeah, she's our new one.
She has more creative control of her character now, so she says she doesn't like the blue makeup.
Oh,
so,
come on.
So she doesn't have to wear the blue makeup
change
as
that.
much.
Come
Did
in.
you watch Jessica Jones on?
I did, and I liked
What'd
Luke
you think?
Cage. I
Yeah,
watched
Luke
Luke
Cage
Cage.
was
I thought it was awesome. Jessica Jones was great. I thought she was great. I thought she did a great job. The actress who played her. I liked the storyline. But I really enjoyed Luke Cage.
Yeah, Luke Cage was awesome.
I really enjoyed it.
I think that the Netflix, I mean, if we're kind of going on this female roles in the culture, I think the Netflix series are using women very
agreed.
well.
Being a woman and enjoying comics, I don't have to enjoy only women comics.
Sure.
And I don't have to only enjoy women superheroes. I think it's fair for everybody to come into it, especially women, and kind of let themselves enjoy whatever it is they like. I really like female-driven characters. I think it's awesome. But at the same time, I love men power characters. Like I enjoyed Luke Cage. I thought that he did such an amazing job. I thought that actor who had played him was amazing.
Yeah, really good.
The storyline
really
was
good.
How did you like Rogue One, if you don't mind flipping the tables?
We were just talking about it, actually. So Rogue One, I thought was a good movie. It was a really good movie. I like that you know what I also really like?
Tell
is
me.
that everybody dies.
I love that. that.
Love
I
it.
said that when I came out of the
I love
theater.
it.
Somebody asked me how I felt about it, and I was like, everybody dies.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. It was a good war movie. Really enjoyed Rogue One. I thought it was great. Empire's my favorite.
Of course.
All of them. I mean,
Yeah.
usually pretty much everybody that likes Star Wars. But I would put Rogue as like a second or third. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great storyline. I'm excited about Star Wars 8. You know,
What did you think about The Force Awakens?
I thought it was great. I thought it was a perfect remake of Star Wars.
Yeah.
A New Hope.
So are you excited to see like the young Han Solo and all these
Boba
movies?
Fett. Oh, yeah. Are you kidding? 100%. I'm Star Wars blood. So this happens to you the whole time? Like, people just come up and they're like, hey, man, what's up? And then you're like, hey, come and sit down.
Yeah, there is zero planning to what we do. We literally just sat down,
I love that.
set up our mics, put our laptops, and someone walked up and was like, hey, what are you guys doing? I'm like,
I
yeah, you
love
want to do
that.
an interview? Yeah,
That's
sure.
really awesome.
That's it. Oh,
Is it
absolutely.
full time for you? No?
No, not
still
full
have a day
time. We
job?
work together, and when we started working together, we started talking about comics and annoying everybody around us.
I know how that feels. Nobody,
Yeah.
but I am in a totally different league because I honestly don't know any women that are into it.
And then, you know that it's the female fan base is growing.
So I own a con called SheCon. And it is a woman-based Comic-Con, and it's basically for women to get introduced into the industry and not to be afraid of joining that misogynistic society. Try to help them break in, because I have a lot of friends that work for Marvel, and every friend that I have is a man. I don't have any women friends that are actual artists for Marvel. So we just kind of took it upon ourselves, my cousin and I, to start something that would just be small. And it's only small. It's only been 2 years, and it's really small. We just have women come, they bring their art, and we just discuss. We discuss the way and the things that we could do to try to make it a little different, a little easier.
And if you are a woman and you're interested in breaking into the industry, email Chris at SheCon, SHECON 3000, that's 3000, at gmail.com.
Thank you.
That's
Please do.
SheCon3000 at gmail.com.
Well, thank you so much.
Chris, thank you so much.
I had
for
so much
chatting with
fun.
me. Absolutely.
I really did. It was great. I'll come back and chat with you anytime you want.
Okay, Jennifer, so what brings you to San Diego Comic Fest 2017?
I heard it advertised on NPR on Friday.
Oh, very cool. What is your stake in this pop culture, nerd culture world that we live in?
I've been collecting comic books for the past 30 years, since I was about 12 years old.
Nice. What'd you collect?
Batman, anything by Neil Gaiman. I have all the original Sandmans. I love John Constantine Hellblazers.
Oh, so you were into
like
the dark stuff, huh?
Well, you know.
The dark, trippy stuff?
Yeah, a little bit. It's fun, though.
Yep. Did you stick mostly to the DC side of the house?
I did.
Yeah?
I really did. Yeah.
So, how do you feel about the recent DC movies that have been coming out? Starting with Man of Steel and now with, at the Suicide Squad.
So I really like Suicide Squad, and I have to be, I'm probably one of the only people that enjoyed the Ben Affleck Man of Steel Batman that was going on. I thought it was a really pretty movie.
The Man of Steel?
No, not
or Batman versus Superman?
The Batman versus Superman.
I'm sort of conflicted.
I don't want to like Ben Affleck. I like it in spite of Ben Affleck.
Why? Ben
He's just so
pretty redeemed himself recently, though, with some really good movies.
Yeah, The Accountant was good. We just saw that. Yeah, we just rented
Yeah.
that inside.
Are you happy that he's not directing the Batman, the standalone movie that's coming out?
Yeah, I guess I am. I
Yeah?
guess I am.
He's a good director, though.
He
You
is
don't
a
think
good
he's a
director, though. Yeah, he is. But then again, I have it in me that you're not supposed to like Ben Affleck.
Really?
It's hard to get over that. Yeah.
How do you feel about Matt Damon?
I want to see the Great Wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that looks pretty cool.
It does.
So the Great Wall thing's really weird, right? Because I didn't know about the Great Wall until I saw the trailer, and I was watching the trailer.
You never heard of the thing that you can see from outer space?
The Great Wall of China, I knew about. The movie The Great Wall.
Yeah.
I don't think you can see the Great Wall from outer space. So is that?
I thought it was one of the only things that you could see from outer space.
The only man-made things?
I am probably wrong.
Yeah, I think so, because you can see like lights from cities, right?
Staff, Google search that, please.
We have a little controversy. We're gonna solve it here and now. So I didn't know that this movie was coming out, and I saw, I forget what movie I was watching, but I was watching the trailers, and it looked like there was gonna be a movie with samurais, and all of a sudden we see Matt Damon in the movie. And I'm like, all right, we have another sort of weird Last Samurai type of thing where there was a little bit of controversy with casting a white character in a movie about the Great Wall of China, or
Yeah, but I mean, he's supposed to be there. It's a band of European warriors, correct?
And then I find that they're mercenaries, European mercenaries. And then I come to find out that it's a Chinese production. It's a Chinese movie.
Oh yeah, I love the director. I can't remember his name right now, but he did movies like Raise the Red Lantern that I really liked. I'm a big Gong Li fan, who's a Mandarin actress, and a lot of her movies he directed. So like Shanghai Triad is a great one too.
Oh, it's good. Okay.
Yeah.
I've not seen it. I'm not.
Oh yeah. Well, so I've liked some of these things that this director saw, which made me, even though we were probably going to see it now, we're going to see see it.
Sure. So, and then it started going into them fighting dragons and demons. And that took a very strange direction. But apparently the movie's doing really well.
Everywhere else, it's already like more than made its money back in Asia.
And a huge budget, too.
125 million, I thought it was?
Because
I think that they'd like already made 500 million before it came out here. Yeah, so they'd
serious?
already doubled.
So you grew up reading all these dark, gothy type comics.
Yeah,
and
a little bit. Yeah, I really got into the Dark Phoenix with Marvel when that was coming out. That's why I was so disappointed in the first X-Men movies. They were like too bubblegummy, like too happy and off point. Like to me, it seemed like the comic books are here and it went somewhere else.
But you thought it was bubblegummy though? Yeah. I thought it was a little dark.
So I'm senile now, but these are my memories of that time.
Oh, that's interesting. Because I mean, like, okay, so let's take a look at Tim Burton's Batman, right? So back in those days when Tim Burton's Batman came out,
that was
considered.
dark.
I mean, looking back on it now, it doesn't stand as it being it was a good movie. I do still enjoy it. There wasn't anything like it, right? So there was no other superhero movies prior to this. The only other Batman we had was the show, the Batman show. That's what we had. The super campy Batman show.
No.
Yeah, exactly. So to have like a dark Batman that would hang someone off a ledge and threaten to kill him. I thought that was really cool. And a really cynical Joker. Like, he was a dark dude.
Even though they cast Kim Basinger as Vicky Vale.
Yeah.
And Alfred told her that he was Batman. Alfred never would have done that.
Yeah. Do you have
I think that was it. As I was still reading Batman religiously at the time. And I could not wrap my little head around that.
And Tim Burton, admittedly, he was one of these guys that says, like, I'm not going to read the source material. I don't want it to influence my vision. So
I like that he has...
Exactly.
I like that he has grown up as an artist.
That seems like Tim Burton. It would be right in your wheelhouse with all the dark stuff that you were reading.
Yeah, I do. I like everything else.
Do you?
Yeah.
No, that's very cool.
I remember taking my brother to the theater to see Nightmare when he was like
Christmas?
7. Yeah, and I was like 17.
That was huge.
18.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice. That's still a good movie. That holds the test of time right there.
Yeah, it does. And the music and everything else.
Oh my God, I love the music. I have the albums and like when the artists covered all the songs and we had like Marilyn Manson and all these guys doing them.
Every year, or at least they have been, but they do it at the Hollywood Bowl where you watch the movie and then they have an orchestra playing it live and people singing.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'll be looking out for that for sure. What are you reading right now? What is piquing your interest?
Jim Butcher. I've been reading, like we have all the Dresden Files, and then he's got a new steampunky, the Cinder Spire's out.
Okay. Are you into the steampunk scene?
Yeah, we kind of are.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You're a costumer? Do you dress up?
Yeah, we do, and I vend at them. We do leather work, fun stuff like that. I'm a paramedic by trade, but I have ADHD too much. I can't sit still.
Yeah,
so I do leather work, and we make costumes and all sorts of
very
stuff.
nice. And you have a booth here at San Diego?
No, we don't. This is the first time we've ever come to this. But we vended at the Gaslight Gathering. We're vending at Long Beach Comic Con this year. Where else are we vending? Condor Con. We're going to do the Costume Fest. We did the H.P. Lovecraft Convention and Movie Festival last year.
Colleen Rodriguez is a good friend of ours. She does the Winged Lion booth.
Oh,
so she's always at these events. Yeah.
Actually, we came here to say hi to her.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a very good friend of ours. She's done the podcast with us a few times. We're usually at her booth helping her vend. Tawmis and I, we usually take turns helping her out.
Oh, well then, were you at the Gaslight?
No, I'm not big on the steampunk stuff.
Where else did we see her? Pasha.
Oh my God.
She does everywhere. She's like 18 a year.
She hustles.
She's just that way.
We
just had that conversation with her. She's just that type of girl.
Yeah, she's always hustling.
Yeah.
She's awesome. Cool. Well, thank you very much for chatting with us, and you get a pin.
Ooh, thank you.
So do you have a store where you sell your leatherworks or anything like that?
We do on Etsy. It's Moonlight Wares. That's MOONLIGHT. Wares, WARES at Etsy.com. And then we have a Facebook link and a website that are all coming soon. We're in the midst of rebranding and building websites and everything.
Hey, I'm Corey Sparks. I'm actually head of gaming for Comic Fest.
Cool. Hey, Corey. So what brings you to San Diego Comic Fest?
I like people. I like playing games and I like hanging out, and it's Comic Fest. I mean, what more could you want? Comics and games.
Absolutely. Now, you're when you say games, are you talking
board games,
video games, mind games, board games,
and mind games,
and mind games?
Well, that's the best board game, right?
So, tabletop gaming. What are you doing with board games and comics?
So, I brought in a lot of great local companies that we have here in San Diego, and I made sure to feature them. So, we have IDW, which does the comic books also, but this time they came around and they wanted to to support us with some board games.
So IDW,
Yes.
I'm sorry, IDW is doing board games as well.
Yes, they do. One of their popular games was Machikoro.
Okay.
And they're coming out with a couple more. So they're out in Point Loma actually.
Oh,
Seaport
IDW,
Village.
yes, absolutely.
So they have the Comic Book Museum in Seaport Village,
Mhm.
but they're located out at Liberty Station.
Yeah,
in
the Liberty
Point Loma.
Station, exactly.
Upper Deck. Okay, they're up in Carlsbad.
Mhm.
You know, everybody thinks about Upper Deck with baseball cards.
Right.
But they do so much more.
Right.
They have their Legendary and Versus systems
Okay.
are all Marvel. And they have Alien versus Predator. They have all kinds of games
Mhm.
that focus on some popular things. And
Are they mostly deck builders? I'm
deck builders,
taking it
right.
in?
They have a bunch of expansions for that stuff. And you know, Legendary is a big popular game. Versus is going to start making it big again. And they're going to start doing some tournaments in town and things like that.
So I'm sorry, what is Versus?
Versus is the same thing. It's a deck builder similar to Magic, except it's all self-contained.
Okay.
And then you build your deck out of the cards that are provided in some expansions, and you can play against each other.
Is that based on comics as well? Is that
Yes, it's another Marvel. And they have one that's my favorite, just the theme, Big Trouble in Little China for Legendary.
Wow, really?
So, yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Classic movie. You haven't seen Big Trouble in Little China? What are you doing?
And they are coming out with another game that you guys got to look out for, and it's A Dingo Ate My Baby.
A Dingo Ate My Baby. No way. What's that game about?
So that game is kind of like a rock, paper, scissors kind of thing.
Okay.
So you have different animals that chase away different things, and you're playing a farmer, and you have different things on your farm.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell you anymore. I want you guys to come check it out online when they start do the release. The release is not out yet.
What are you playing right now?
Right now, another great company, not from San Diego, is Haba Games. They're actually from Germany, but they do a lot of kids games. So right now, in our two gaming areas, I have in our open atrium.
Okay.
So Haba has from all ages, from 1 to 2 years old.
From 1 to 2. Okay, so from 1 to 2 years old,
with colors and counting and
I
larger
see.
pieces. But let me tell you about the other company we have here, USAopoly. So if you ever played a Monopoly game that's other than regular Monopoly, it's probably come out by USAopoly.
So a Monopoly game, like when they skin it with different themes?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, very good. I have The Walking Dead.
So The Walking Dead, USAopoly.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's a local company too. One of their big games that just came out was Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle. So we have that here. Basically, you're gathering the light against the dark, right? So you're fighting Death Eaters, and you're Dumbledore's army fighting Death Eaters.
Oh, very cool.
They're working with Steve Jackson Games. A lot of people know Munchkin. So they've come out with, right now we have Marvel Munchkin, and they've come out with 2 expansions for that and the base game. And they're going to come out with another one. I don't know if everybody knows. They're going to come out with X-Men. So Munchkin X-Men.
That's awesome. I'll buy anything X-Men, by the way. You skin it with X-Men, and I'll probably pick it up.
So some of their other releases that they've done with Munchkin, they've done Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, cool.
And Adventure Time.
Oh, dude, I love Adventure Time. So like games like Ticket to Ride, Lords of Waterdeep, King of Tokyo, Sushi Go, Bang the Dice Game. I mean,
they're
all
here.
Of these games. Oh, really?
Bang the Dice Game's here. That's USAopoly.
That's huge.
King of Tokyo's here also.
Favorite games of all time. King of Tokyo's awesome.
And it's I have the Halloween edition with it, which gives you a couple extra Halloween characters.
Oh, cool.
But we're having new games that are much more socially interactive, like Codenames is one of the popular games.
Codename Pictures is one of my favorite games.
And I had that's here too. Codenames and Codename Pictures.
Oh my god, that's a good game. You know what's really cool is some of these games are using apps as part of the game as well. Like you download the app, it's part of the game. It's either a timer, whatever it is. There was one, what is it?
Everyone, close your eyes. Werewolves, wake up and look for other werewolves. Werewolves, close your eyes.
One Night Ultimate Werewolf was what you're thinking.
Yeah, there you go. That was it. And
so.
I love the direction that board games are going. They're getting really cool, really creative. I mean, some could be very complicated, and some are just quick, fast, easy. Codename Pictures is a great one. You just lay out your cards, you get into groups, and you just fight all night. It's pretty awesome. I love it. Yeah.
Really made it more complicated, the regular Codenames game, where you just have a word. It's easier to guess a word than to guess a picture.
I mean, it depends, because we only played the Codenames Pictures, and after playing the Codename Picture, I don't know if I would want to go back and play. I mean, I would give it a shot, but the pictures are so weird and so unique, and it really makes you have to switch mental gears, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I mean, all the Codename games are about connections.
Oh, yeah.
But as you said, the pictures are just if you're a geek, I mean, the pictures in the game are amazing.
Oh, it's perfect.
They're geek pictures.
Yeah.
They have a picture with the D20 on it. I mean, come on.
Yeah, with the claw. And
yes,
the D20.
exactly.
Yeah, that was cool.
How would? What more do you want?
Yeah, we had an argument because there's one where it looks like there's tentacles reaching up over a boat. We got into an argument because is it an octopus? Is it a kraken? It's obviously one to one person. It's obvious.
The kraken is an octopus.
Exactly.
Did I just show up right in time for that?
Exactly. See? Yeah.
So, Quits.
What did you say? You said beast, right?
So, if you look at the old maps, sorry.
No,
tangent. We're going on tangent.
If I said animal, would you have picked that?
Of course, it's an animal.
Eat your burger. Get out of here. That's the type. This is the type of interactions that you have playing this game, stuff like that, and I love it. It was a lot of fun. It was very cool. If you were to take a game, right? Let's say you met a group of people that wanted to play board games, but all they knew was Monopoly, Risk, and Clip. If you were to say, okay, let's play this one game. This is my scenario. I've got a new board game day organized, and their favorites are Monopoly and Risk and Apples to Apples and stuff like that. But what would you say is the one game that would be like, check this out, you guys will enjoy this?
Try them with a simple game first.
Which game?
I usually try them with something like Love Letter.
Oh, good one.
Or I'll do something like a dice game. Steve Jackson has a lot of dice games.
Mm-hmm.
Zombie Dice.
Zombie Dice is great.
Yeah,
that's a great game.
Zombie Dice, Cthulhu Dice, just to give them a variation.
Sure.
I have gone to code names and things like that.
So where can we find you? Where can we find more information on this type of stuff?
A lot of the San Diego cons, I'll have a game room. I try to be at many conventions as I can, just because I do it for fun.
Sure.
It's my hobby, and it pays for itself.
Cool. Do you have an online presence where people can follow you?
I don't, not yet. I
Wow,
apologize
really?
for that. The reason is because I'm busy.
No, that's
I mean, I'm a dad with 3 kids, man.
Yeah.
And we are listening to Armor walking by, in case you're wondering what the clanking is. So
at least it's just one guy in a suit of armor.
One guy.
Like
It's not Legion.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for having me on your show.
Thank you for
I
coming
hope
on.
everything goes well, and you guys take care.
All right, how you guys doing? Today we have with us artist and creator of Max Boost, Dennis Kako.
Yeah.
How you doing today, Dennis?
Good, man. I'm here at the San Diego Comic Fest, right?
Absolutely. So what brings you to San Diego Comic Fest?
Well, I used to be actually really involved in comic books, like literally probably 15, 20 years ago. Believe it or not, my first studio when I was younger, 16 years old, I actually had in the same building as San Diego Comic Con.
Oh, really?
So we were all friends back then.
Oh, cool.
And I was inspired to be to be a comic book artist when I was younger, and so I did paid my dues and ended up creating my own comic strip called Max Boost eventually. Yeah.
Cool. And what did you grow up reading? What inspired you?
Oh my God! The very first inspiration for comics for me was actually the Levi's commercial with Rob Liefeld in it.
Oh, really?
I don't know if anybody remembers that.
So how long have you been drawing comic books? So I was about 7 years old, little kid. What did your parents think about it? They hated it. Oh yeah. After I got a job and they saw that you can make a living out of it, you'll hear no complaints anymore. And you created X-Force? Mm-hmm. So what is the drawing on? This is the Spike Man. And what's this right here? This is the camera on top of your head that will record the wrongdoings of others. So Rob, have you had any formal art training? No. Just a lot of imagination, I think. Wait, so I say it and then look down? Or just open it and say it? Fly button?
But I remember seeing that commercial and I was just mind blown. And I think a couple things that I was introduced to comics in that way then, and then at the same time I saw that he was young.
So this was the 90s, Rob Liefeld.
Before Image, right?
Even
like
before Image.
Right around Image. Yeah, right around that, or it is at Image, right when
cool.
it first launched. And that was, obviously everyone knows Spider-Man, Superman, and Batman, but Image Comics was what made me believe that I could do it myself.
Oh, nice, man.
Yeah.
So you got inspired by by Rob Liefeld, and a Levi's commercial was really interesting.
Remember that, yeah.
So tell us about Max Boost, man. How did this happen?
All right, so check this out. So as a comic book artist and struggling comic book artist, I ended up working at a comic book coloring company here in San Diego called In Color with Clydeen Nee. And her brother John Nee was heavily involved in Image as well. So I was in the comic book industry, opened up that studio that I was talking about earlier with that had San Diego Comic Con in it. Got to be around the industry. I actually even made some of the badges for con back in the day.
Oh, really? No way.
Yeah, and so anyways, I was working, doing all of that, and just trying to be a comic book artist. I mean, I think every comic book artist knows what it takes, and it's hard. And so I ended up falling into a passion for cars. And when I was old enough, I had my first car. It happened to be a Rice Rocket, right? Acura Integra GSR. And I ended up starting street racing.
Okay.
And so what I did was I married the two together. And so with street racing, I created a whole entire story and cast of Max and Otto and their adventures in Motorville. And his name is Max Boost. And so made that comic strip in particular for a magazine called Import Tuner Magazine, which was originally owned by Kip Kingting, and then sold to Macmillan Argus, and we had 1 million readers a month. So back then, that was kind of a big deal.
Sure.
And so my comic strip
right now it's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it'd be huge. And so, and so it was all from my passion of cars, and then just, again, just marrying that with my passion for comics, and created something that literally millions of people know about.
So did you write your stories in small, like, bite-sized bits, or did you get full pages in the magazine?
Exactly. So we did full pages in the magazine, anywhere from 2 to 8 pages, depending on what we wanted to do. And what ended up happening in this magazine, which was a car magazine, it was actually about cars and tuning and all of that stuff. Our comic strip ended up becoming 75% of the reasons why people subscribed to the magazine, because they didn't want to miss an issue of Max Boost, right?
Oh, no way.
And so that was really cool that we were able to contribute that way. And I kept the rights, which was really important.
That's cool.
And so... and
so
then,
do you feel like you touched a nerve with people maybe, or readers of your age that were maybe into the same sort of things, that were into cars and at the same time were writing the comic book sort of movement that was going on at the same time? Yeah,
2 waves happening at the same time, comic books and the whole car thing that eventually led to Fast and the Furious 1. Right? Where everyone used to make fun of it, and now you realize it's $1 billion industry.
Yeah, and now they're like on the 8th movie or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah, so that I was part of that. I probably considered one of the OGs of that street culture here in the United States, and here in Southern California is really the center of all of that. And so, so just a guy running around doing, and I was a street racer, and I don't recommend doing it, but I did it. I used to run from cops.
Do it
so
responsibly.
A lot of what's in Max Boost is a reflection of my actual, experiences in life as a street racer, which is pretty crazy.
Oh, that's cool. So you took your experiences and your actual experiences, or interpretations
close,
of them, and made, dude, that's awesome. So you were drawing right from real life.
Yeah. So in this little thing here, which is just a prototype, we. You will actually see scenes in here that some people recognize here in San Diego.
All right.
Yeah, so it's pretty
Did
funny.
you use San Diego as the background?
Sort of. I mean, you'll see like one of the places we used to race, if anybody's here from San Diego, is on I think it's called Carroll Canyon Road, but it's right off of the 805 and the Mira Mesa exit. There's a fire department right there. They put speed bumps there now, so that we couldn't do it after so many years. But we called that place Firehouse, and every street racer would know where that location is exactly, and that's one of the locations we used to race at.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So what happened with Max Boost?
So we ran for like almost a little over 8 years inside Import Tuner Magazine. And we really went far with it. We went from just not only having this comic, but we started to get interest from entertainment. I ended up with an agency with a guy named Russell Binder, and he was like, he helped me actually land a deal with Playmates Toys. That was the beginning.
Dude,
and Playmates Toys, for anybody that doesn't know, Playmates Toys is one of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle licensees. And so they did Disney and all of that, and they saw the vision for Max. They got it. They understood that this whole street racing thing is going to explode. And we're talking about I don't know how many years ago now. And no one understood like this whole culture. And I was like, dude, it's going to be big. And so we wanted to do cars. And then kind of like then after that, we started to get we had started talking to IDW back when it was small.
Sure.
We were talking to Tokyo Pop and Stu Levy over there. Like they're all interested in licensing. Then we had different companies like that wanted a license for apparel. So we got all these licenses set up.
Everything
we even had meetings in New York, which was like, for me as a little comic book artist, that was huge. We had meetings at Toy Fair.
That's a big deal.
In the Playmates booth with Walmart and Target. They wanted the toys. And so they're like, we only had to have one thing though.
What was
that one thing was a Saturday morning cartoon.
Oh.
So no little thing. And so what ended up happening is we ended up getting into, and I've never told this story anywhere, so you're the first. We ended up getting in front of Warner Brothers. And Reggie Hudnall pitched Max Boost. And I don't know if you guys know who Reggie Hudnall is, but he eventually became the president of BET Network. He is the creator of Boondocks, or one of the creators.
Oh, dude.
Yeah,
No way.
and also he's the executive producer of Django Unchained.
Okay.
So he was my guy back in the day
Mhm.
when, way before we were super popular, or they were he was super popular. But anyways, he pitched it, and Warner Brothers wanted it. So like a lot of entertainment stories and people that are trying to do this
Mhm.
and trying to make it big, like 1 week before our contract was signed with Warner Brothers, the guy on the inside, John,
Mhm.
got fired.
Oh, no way.
And so our deal died too. And the woman that replaced him wanted nothing to do with what he did.
Really?
Nothing he started. And it usually happens when people replace the directors of programming.
It's just
they
like a new
usually
sheriff in
just
town.
like, yeah, they get
Just
rid
clean
of
house.
And we begged, we groveled, we did everything we could. And at that time, I spent literally thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars and 2 years of time to get to that point, and it died.
So close, man.
We were so close, and my deal was better than SpongeBob SquarePants and Powder Puff
Yeah,
Girls
yeah.
and all this stuff, and I was
Yeah.
like retired. I was so excited,
Yeah.
and then 2 weeks later, it was zero.
Yeah.
And that's what ended up happening, and it was sad. It was
Yeah.
really tough because I put a lot of effort into it. My my family and everyone knew like the sacrifices we made to get to that point, and
Sure.
it died. Kind of died. It wasn't immediate, but I kind of died a slow death after that.
Yeah.
You know, I was pretty depressed about it, and then I
Mhm.
ended up stopping the comic
Mhm.
abruptly. And literally thousands or million people were wondering what the heck happened, and I've never told that story.
And how long ago was this that it sort of ended?
Oh my God, I think about 10 years ago.
Oh, okay.
So that's why we're back.
You ready to revisit it?
And yeah, and so after the recession and after all these
Yeah.
things, cars are coming back to play again.
Yeah, they are.
If you look at what Honda's doing, they're bringing back the Civic Type R,
Mhm.
all the WRXs, the
Mhm.
FRS, and all of these things that are happening, the GTR. There's all these things that are indicative in the car world that are seeing that the culture's coming back.
Sure.
And so I see it too. I've been to we'll go to car shows and all this stuff, and we're seeing it reemerge.
Mhm.
And I think maybe this might be the right timing. And now with
To come
social
back.
media,
Mhm.
10 years ago we didn't have social media. We had 1 million readers. So think about what we could possibly do today.
Oh,
and that's
now
what
you
we're
can
doing.
control like your own IP and your own empire now.
Yeah, that's
man.
what we
You can
hope.
Do it.
We hope it's an
absolutely.
empire.
So,
So we're
is
back,
is
yeah.
the next version of Max Boost is going to be more modernized as far as the vehicles go, or are you going to keep it old school, or are you going to be a mix?
Yeah, we're gonna mix it. We're gonna mix it up. I think we've already gotten responses. We just set up a Instagram with one image, and we've got almost 1,000 followers already. We haven't even really relaunched yet.
Oh, very cool.
But yeah, one of the questions I asked was some of the fans are like, "Oh my God, where you been?" I'm asking them, what do they think we should do? Should
Yeah.
we start off with where we ended abruptly, or
Yeah.
should we start anew?
No.
And they want us to continue the story.
Oh, nice,
Yeah,
man.
So
are you going to
we'll see.
continue right where you left off, or are you going to include
I think
the 10-year
right where we
gap?
left off,
No
man.
way.
I think we're gonna do something where it's like, you know what, we're not gonna leave the story untold. So,
Sure.
we're gonna do all the crazy with all the characters we have, like Wrench, which is a gorilla
Yeah.
that basically knows how to tune up cars, and he doesn't even need a jack stand because he just picks the car up with his left hand and wrenches it with
Dick
his
Grease
right.
Monkey?
Papa Wheelie, who's the
Nice.
guru of car in racing, and if you don't ever miss a payment, if you owe him money, those kinds of
Sure.
things. Yeah.
Oh, very. And where can people find Max Boost? Where can people follow you and kind of watch the second generation grow? here?
Easiest thing is to go to maxboost.com, maxboost.com. Yeah, I actually own it, which is awesome.
Nice, man. That's huge.
And then that'll lead you to our Instagram, which is where we're going to put a lot of this on Instagram because it's very visual.
Mhm.
So it's going to be at maxboost comic.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much,
Cool, man.
Dennis. Appreciate
Mike,
the
appreciate it. Yeah.
absolutely, dude.
Thank you.
And
All right,
best
take
of
it
luck
easy.
to you, man. Best of luck to you.
Well, hopefully,
I'll be
hopefully we'll
following
be
you.
so awesome that we get interviewed again.
Absolutely, man. We'll be following you closely, man.
Yeah, thanks,
Cool.
guys.
Very cool.
See ya.
Yep. What's up, Armando? So, what brings you to the San Diego Comic Fest, man?
I've been going to Comic-Con for 26 years, and this is what I live for.
And what's your thing, man? What do you like? What do you enjoy about this culture?
I'm a big anything movie related.
Sure.
So that's my thing. I collect movie posters, custom prints.
What kind of movies are you into? What's your favorite movies?
Oh man, a little bit of everything. I guess my answer would be yes. I like a little bit of
To everything?
everything. Yes.
All right. So here's a question: out of all the recent Marvel movies that have come out, right, all the way back to Iron Man 1 to Doctor Strange, which one is your favorite movie?
Ooh, Doctor Strange is the last one that I've seen.
To keep in mind, there's Guardians of the Galaxy, there's the Thor movies, the Captain America movies, Civil War, Iron Man, the Avengers. Which would you say?
The Captain America movies I really like.
They're good, right?
They're really good. The storylines are awesome. Hollywood they're kind of spitting out a bunch of You know, I mean, the Transformer movies, it's kind of almost insulting to watch.
Oh, man.
Sorry if you're a fan.
No,
but
I'm
the thing is
not.
that
I'm not.
I'm a big movie goer, and I go to the
Uh-huh.
movies all the time, and I like taking my son to see these. He's 8 years old, and I can sit there and actually talk to him about why he liked the movie, what he didn't like about it, and we can have a conversation. I'll tell him, this movie was because of this.
You know what's funny about the Transformer movies is every time a new one comes out, I always wonder, why are they still making these movies?
It's almost embarrassing to walk out thinking, oh my god, I can't believe I just, wasted an hour and a half of my life that I'll never get back. They're bad.
Yeah, it's always such a jumbled, confused mess when they're fighting. I'm not a big fan of the cinematography myself, you know what I mean?
Horrible.
And I always feel like Optimus Prime is dying in like every single movie. Yeah, and there's always like this movie, the scene in the trailer where it's like Optimus Prime like dying, and it's, dude, how many times are you gonna kill him?
They think that we're just gonna eat it up and be okay with it,
Yeah.
but no.
It was like these two, yeah. They still make billions of dollars.
You're right, and that's what it is. They
Yeah,
know
that's a
you're going to buy a
problem.
ticket, but if you're a moviegoer,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, make one
Yeah.
for us, you know?
You know what? The second Ninja Turtle movie, though, I don't think did as well as the first one or the Transformers movies. And that's one that had Bebop and Rocksteady and Casey Jones, and still, I might be wrong. I haven't checked the numbers on this. I haven't checked the data, but I don't think it did very well.
We did a drive-in on that movie. It was
Yeah?
probably our first one we took our son to. It was entertaining for that reason only.
That's another one that bugs me, man, is the Ninja Turtles. I think just the Michael Bay verse to me is I don't like it, man. I don't like what they've done with the Turtles.
He's selling his name, you know. He knows that, he's got fans out there that are just going to go and buy a ticket because his name is on it,
Yeah.
either as director or producer.
Yeah.
And, it's a shame.
Yeah, overall, the 80s cartoons have just gotten beat up. G.I. Joe wasn't very good either. That was... did you like it?
Oh, I did. Oh, wait.
The G.I. Joe movies.
No, not at all.
Yeah, exactly.
The cartoons I did.
Oh, the cartoons are legit.
But
the cartoons
the
are awesome.
movies, they're horrible. It's just kind of like a B movie with a good budget, And again, they're just kind of slapping things together and thinking, this is what you're gonna get.
They're packaging nostalgia and putting it a nice shiny filter on it, a little bit of polish, and sending it out there.
Yeah.
They haven't reached the level of care and quality that the Marvel Studios has done with the Avengers and their properties. I don't know how many movies are there, 13 MCU movies, something like that, and the TV shows and the Netflix shows. I mean, Marvel's really done it right. I praise Marvel when it comes to the movies and this culture.
Man.
Oh, big time, man.
It's exciting to know that you're gonna go and see a quality movie like the new Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Oh.
It's like, oh my god,
it's already testing. It's already testing through the roof. So what do you think about the DC Warner Brothers line of movies? Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, Suicide Squad.
The Suicide Squad. I've seen it twice, and I saw it twice because I thought maybe I missed something. The first round, I didn't care for it too much. There was too much going on. I just felt like they kind of edited something out.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Did you see it?
Yeah.
All right. So what did you think? I mean,
I had zero expectations. I thought the movie was going to be garbage. Like, I have zero faith in Warner Brothers and DC, and I was pleasantly surprised in that it wasn't completely terrible. There were some enjoyable scenes, but overall, it was not a good movie.
It was not a good movie, and I was hoping to take my son to see it, and I thought, just wait, because it's not that great of a movie. I was being honest with them. I'm not really too thrilled with the Superman Batman movies at all.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate, man, because they are the biggest names in comics. Superman and Batman are the two most recognizable names. Even if you never read a comic in your life, even if you don't like comics, I mean, you can show a kid who's 2 years old, can barely speak the Batman symbol, and he'll be like, yeah, it's Batman.
Tell you right now, I'm going to tell you something. I have maybe 2,000 in my DVD Blu-ray collection. We don't own any of the Superman movies.
Really?
And if we do, I don't know where
Not
it's
even
at.
the Superman the movie. Yeah, Richard Donner's really good.
I take that back. Yes, I do have that.
Yeah.
I mean, there are movies that, he's 8, and we were watching World War Z just yesterday, and it's something
what do
that
you guys think of
love.
World War Z?
Don't even get me started. I love it.
Do you
Number
really?
one, yeah. I mean, I like Brad Pitt. I love the whole...
Super hot, yeah.
He's so hot.
Right?
I like his movies. I think he makes good quality movies.
Yeah.
And I like the way the screenplay was going. It was very intense and something I can share with my son. To me, I mean, I tried watching 28 Days Later.
Uh-huh.
It was a horrible movie.
What?
And I remember liking it. Okay, I remember liking it when I saw it in the movie theater.
Yeah.
But this time round, just told my son I didn't care for it too much.
So, did you read the book World War Z?
I didn't.
That's good. Could have named the movie anything else because it had nothing to do with the book. Do you do commission work? I mean, do you have?
I do. Yeah, I do.
Tell us, man. Where can people find you online?
You can find me on Instagram, Art by Armand, Art by ARMAND, and Art by Armand on Facebook.
Very cool, man. Well, thank you very much for talking to us.
Well, thank you.
It was awesome. All right, so you want to talk WWE. What's your name? Paul. When did you start watching wrestling, man?
I've been watching wrestling since I was about 7, 8 years old. I'm 25 right now.
So then we might be able to talk on a few things here. See, I used to watch wrestling back in the Attitude Era.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
We're talking Stone Cold, NWO, back in those days. Now, I have sort of fell off. I haven't really watched since then.
Yeah.
So what has changed within, the Attitude Era and this current generation?
Oh, I was just thinking about this the other day. The new generation has a new way of getting into arguments,
Oh, really?
Yeah, I would say so because the Attitude Era, you just see guys going up to one another in the backstage or in the locker room, just like, hey, man, what'd you say? Boom, they start beating up on each other. And now the Attitude Era is like for example, there's a guy named Roman Reigns. You probably know who he is. He wants to talk it out with Kevin Owens out in the ring first, and then after that they'll get in a fight. You know, it's not like the Attitude Era where all of a sudden they'll just bash on each other with chairs and tables and like kendo sticks. So
the Attitude Era brought in a lot of mobs and gangs, man. You had like NWO, the Hart Foundation. You had big cliques. Do those still exist? Do you still have cliques?
That did exist for a meantime. Well, you have your tag teams. They're kind of like the little gangs in a way.
Who's your all-time favorite wrestler, man?
All-time favorite?
All-time. Past, present,
it's hard.
Future. Yeah?
It's hard.
The Rock?
The Rock, Shawn Michaels.
Oh, Shawn Michaels is mine, dude.
Yeah. Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio.
Eddie Guerrero's dope, man.
It's really hard. Top-notch guy, I would say Shawn Michaels.
Shawn Michaels?
Yeah, Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, man. He's been around for a while, too. Yeah. He's a performer, dude.
He knows awesome. He knows how to wrestle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, is it true The Undertaker has been played by different actors? Or has it been the same Undertaker the entire run?
It's been the same Undertaker.
I don't know, man.
I have not that I've been watching. Yeah. I've seen the Undertaker myself. Like
YouTube old Undertaker videos, like maybe when he first came out.
Okay,
you're gonna see he looks kind of different, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe conspiracy.
Probably because of his age, though. Come on. I'm just
saying. No,
where are you coming up with this? Come
remarkably different. We're going into conspiracy theories a little bit here, but with wrestling, yeah.
All right, guys.
Cool,
my friends are leaving me. So.
All right, thanks, man.
Hey,
Steven, nice to meet you, Steven. So what brings you to the San Diego Comic Fest this weekend?
I'm an artist, and I'm in Artist Alley. This is my third or fourth one in a row.
Third or fourth San Diego Comic Fest in a row?
Yes.
Oh, nice. Are you native San Diegan here?
No, I'm from Los Angeles.
What sort of art do you specialize in?
Kaiju. I'm into Godzilla, Pacific Rim, Ultraman, you name it. I just love drawing it.
You grew up watching those old shows and the old movies?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, my wife calls me one of the West Coast top aficionados of Godzilla.
Very cool. And how old were you when you started drawing the different kaiju?
4.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Do you still have any of your old drawings from when you were younger?
I have a few from way back when. I don't have them here with me, obviously. But yeah, in all the movings and colleges and everything, I've lost a lot of them. But I still have very clear memories of being with my buddy Steve Tucker, and we would sit in his playroom and draw on regular lined paper 30-page long Ultraman comics.
Oh, that's cool.
And I still have very clear images in my head of the things that I drew.
I remember the old Ultraman movies. Have they ever done any remakes of the Ultraman? You got to forgive me, I'm not very well versed in this genre.
No, that's fine. Ultraman is one of the few series that has been pretty much on the air since 1966.
So it's still on?
Yeah.
No
way. There have been a few fallow periods where it was down for a few years, but there have been animated versions. It's mostly live action. The first few series were designed more for older families and older kids, and then it went more towards children because in Japan, Ultraman is it. I mean, they know Godzilla, but Ultraman and Ultraman toys are all over the place.
Oh, wow. So he's their iconic hero over there.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, just in the last year or two, they closed down a place that had been open for decades called Ultraman Land.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It was an entire theme park dedicated to this hero.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a theme park in terms terms of rides, unfortunately, I've never been to the one place I'd like to go, which is Japan. Yeah.
How do you feel about the recent Godzilla incarnations that we were seeing here in the Hollywood takes on them?
I thought legendary, the Godzilla that came out, Gareth Edwards, loved it. I agree with a lot of what people said in terms of the lead character and how the human story left a little to be desired. Sure, but generally I thought they did it a great deal of respect, and it was a lot of fun and gorgeous. I mean, just gorgeous. Did you hear about Shin Godzilla?
No.
Toho did a feature, came out in America just this last year. It was the top ticket-selling feature for last year in Japan. It's very different sensibility because it's a Japanese film, but wow, when the creature finally truly lets loose, you could hear the crowd. It was sold out here, and I'm looking forward to the anime. They're bringing an anime out.
Do you watch any of the newer animes?
The most recent anime that I've watched would be Attack on Titan.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a really good one.
And I really enjoyed the live-action version, too.
I have not seen the live-action version. That was strictly a Japanese.
Yeah, straight Japanese adaptation of the anime.
I gotta watch it. I have not seen that one
great.
yet.
I always cut filmmakers a great deal of slack.
Oh, yeah.
I teach film
cool.
online. I teach for the Colorado State University system.
Oh, nice.
You know, it's one of the things I talk about to my students when they get all up in arms about their favorite parts being cut.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you got to cut the filmmaker slack. Something's got to go.
You can't, and you can't please everybody, too, as well, right?
Exactly.
We're dealing with budget restraints and things that you can do in animation, but might be a little trickier to do, or it might not even translate as well as into live action as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And where can people find your art?
You can find me at Wolf Tribe Studio Arts on Facebook, and I do commissions, and then I'm at SB Wolves 72 on DeviantArt.
Hi guys, what's your name?
Emma.
And I'm Luke. Hi, Emma, Luke, and Alexander. So how are you guys enjoying the San Diego Comic Fest?
Good.
Yeah, it's great. We love it.
What are you guys looking for?
Well, just all kinds of comic stuff. I found some old Masters of the Universe action figures, so I was geeking out over that over at the
Did you collect those when you were younger?
Oh yeah, I had just about all of them. I was a huge He-Man fan.
Oh, nice. You have the Castle Grayskull and everything?
Oh yeah, and the Snake Mountain.
Yeah. Oh.
The little speaker that you would talk into.
Yeah,
make
absolutely,
your voice sound
man.
spook.
And you found some Masters of the Universe toys here, the classic ones?
Oh yes, I got two of my favorite villains, Merman and Stinkor.
They were terrible with names. They were really bad with names.
But as a kid, you loved it. I mean, it was simple.
No,
it's like, here's a skunk toy that actually smells, and his name's Stinkor, and there you go. He's got an axe.
What was the name of the fake He-Man? There was a dude that was like
Fake-Or, actually.
It was Fake-Or.
Yeah.
That's right.
Sticking with the originality, the fake He-Man was Fake-Or.
Yeah. They had some very interesting names, but they were very cool. Do you read DC Masters of the Universe comic?
One that they're doing with the crossover with Thundercats?
There's that one, and then there's the ongoing, I believe it is. Very good series, man. What's that? Oh, did it finally come to an end? Tawmis is the big Masters of the Universe fan here. Big time.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, I didn't read that one, but I am really getting into the Thundercats He-Man.
Oh, very cool.
crossover.
Very cool. We see you got some artwork here. You guys, is this a commission piece?
Yes, it was original pieces.
Who is the artist here?
Mark Egg.
And it's like the old school Adam West Batman, it almost looks like. Sort of a side profile. Very nice piece.
Yes, it is. I think Adam West is one of my favorite Batman.
Oh, is he your definitive Batman?
I don't want to say definitive. I mean, I really liked Michael Keaton. Yeah, Michael Keaton, I think, just was kind of the first Batman that I saw, and I think he really encompasses that kind of dark side of it. But Adam West was definitely very fun, and also the detective side of it.
Well, how do you like Ben Affleck as Batman?
Actually, I haven't seen the new ones yet.
You haven't seen any of the new ones?
Oh, no. Nope, I'm a little behind in the movie going.
You're not really missing out on much. I like Ben Affleck as Batman. He looks the part. He definitely looks the part of an older Batman. The movies aren't as great as, let's say the Marvel movies are doing right now.
That's my impression is in the comic book world, I feel DC is doing a much better job than Marvel. I think Marvel's kind of putting out a lot of just generic stuff, while DC's getting really in-depth with a lot of their characters, but they just can't put that onto the big screen. Warner Brothers is just kind of throwing movies out there, hoping people go see them. And Marvel and Disney are really putting a lot of effort into making their products enjoyable, marketable, fun, action.
Oh, I agree.
For everybody.
100%. That is spot on. Okay, Emma, I see that Emma has a commissioned Eevee piece of art here. Who is your favorite Pokemon? Is it Eevee?
Uh-huh.
And what is your favorite evolution of Eevee?
The Knight.
Oh, wow. I'm not familiar with that one.
It's Embryon.
Oh, okay.
It's a dark type.
Very cool.
There are different evolutions of Eevee.
Oh, there are a lot of different evolutions. Do you know how many Eevee evolutions there are?
I think 5.
Yeah, I think that's about right. You know who my favorite Pokemon is? Jigglypuff.
That's That's his too.
Is that right?
I'm really more of a Squirtle man myself. But,
Squirtle's cool.
But yeah, everybody enjoys Jigglypuff.
Yeah, it's super cute. All right, Alexander, so we found out that Alexander is really into Transformers. Who is your all-time favorite Transformer?
The Bumblebee.
Bumblebee.
I like Jazz myself, but
Jazz is really cool. I was always a fan of the Dinobots.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, not the movie versions, but the older version. Alexander, do you like the Transformers movies or do you watch the cartoons?
Watch the movies.
You watch the movies? Okay, guys. Well, thank you very much for sitting down and chatting with us.
Thank you for having us.
It's a pleasure. Awesome. Hi. So we have Marceline,
Oh, hi.
the Vampire Queen today. How you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Alex is actually cosplaying an awesome Marceline Vampire Queen cosplay here. I take it you're a huge fan of Adventure Time?
Yes, well, here's the thing. I watched, everyone's gonna get mad at me. I watched the first season, and then I stopped because I had, other things to do. And then I come back, and then everything got complicated. That happens.
Super complicated.
The first season of, most kids shows nowadays, of, Adventure Time, regular shows, Steven Universe,
Yeah.
Gravity Falls, everything was, the first season, oh, la-di-da.
Yeah.
You come back, and it's, this dramatic thing happens, and I'm like, ah.
And with Adventure Time, it's not just one dramatic thing. It is
It's
a bunch of dramatic
Yeah,
things.
and a bunch of twists and stuff to the
Uh-huh.
whole lore of the series.
I got a few seasons in. I got a good part of the way in, and I fell off because there were some delays in between seasons.
Yeah.
And I just kind of fell off, and it seems like it's very difficult to get back on.
Yeah, with a lot of shows, when you have a delay between seasons and stuff, it's very hard to get back on. But a lot of shows in Japan, a lot of animes, what they do is that they create sub episodes in between, so you can still kind of keep up with the series.
Yeah, like filler episodes?
Yeah, kind of feel like filler episodes.
Do you plan on going back and rewatching the entire series?
Oh yeah, I plan on rewatching a bunch of the shows that I've missed.
Mhm.
In fact, the day that Gravity Falls finale, I was flipping channels and I was like, it's Dipper. Okay, sure. Let me just watch this. And then
Yeah.
the end of the series, and I'm after it. I'm crying. I'm like, oh okay, so that happened.
Yeah, there are a lot of cool shows like that now that on the surface they look very silly,
Yeah.
Adventure Time, Bravest Warriors. I mean, there's even some online Bravest Warriors being Puppy Cat,
Yeah.
Gravity Falls. And then when you get into them, you see that they are very in-depth. The writing is
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah.
The characters are very deep.
Mhm.
Adventure Time has some of my favorite characters in storytelling of all time. Finn the
Yeah.
Human is one of my favorite sincere heroes. He's
Yeah.
an awesome character. So you've only seen season 1 of Adventure
Yeah.
Time. So you don't know Marceline's history with the Ice King.
I kind of do, because I did channel surfing, and I saw, oh, this episode is happening where you see Ice King and Marceline. I was like, huh? So then I watched it, and I kind of got the impression that Marceline, as a little girl, the Ice King kind of raised her.
Yeah, it was honestly, it was a tearjerker episode. It was really good.
Yeah, I
And
remember-
Adventure Time does that. It's so weird.
I know. I remember every time he'd put on the crown, he would start to get into his ice and kind of his
forgets.
ice king thing, and
Yeah.
then she was like, "No, stop!" And I actually legitimately cried, and I never cry during anything. I have to be emotionally attached to
Yeah.
something to cry, especially in fiction.
Well, the thing is that when the Ice King puts on the crown, he
Yeah.
loses his memory. He forgets who Marceline is.
Yeah.
And that's one of the funny things is that throughout the series, Marceline was never really mean to the Ice King, and she kind of hangs out with him.
Yeah.
And you never know why. You think that
Yeah.
just because they're bad guys,
Yeah.
in air quotes, bad guys, they hang out
Yeah.
and they have some sort of a deal. But no, not really. You find out that he actually raised her, and,
Yeah.
and even though he doesn't remember it, Marceline does, so she kind of has this soft spot for him.
I feel like he's very much like a father figure to
Mm-hmm.
her, because her real father it's just oh, come to the underworld type thing and
Yeah.
rule with me. Basically, just wants to make her this queen of this demon something, and
Yeah.
she's like no. So I'm very happy that she has another
Yeah.
father figure that for some time was very helpful.
Did
to
you
her.
watch the Marshall Lee episodes?
I've seen a couple,
Mm.
and I thought they were really interesting to have a parallel. I thought that was very interesting.
That was very cool. You know what also the Adventure Time does really, really well is the music. The music,
Oh, yeah.
the songs that Marceline does, and really good, to the point where you
Yeah.
probably would want to listen to an entire album of
Yeah.
songs of Marceline.
Like if she was a real singer, I'd totally want to listen to her songs. In fact, I memorized the song when they
Yes.
stole different stuff, and there was and there was you have to sing to make it happen. An opening, I remember it was called "I'm Just Your Problem," and then BGP was like, "Hey, Marceline, that's way too distasteful for a song," and she's just like, "Oh, really? Well, sorry, I'll treat you like
Yeah,
a god." I'm like,
so good.
Yes,
Yes.
she was awesome.
on her
Gosh.
bass. Yes.
Yeah,
She
and I
rocks.
have right now.
Yep.
Except it
That's
doesn't
very
have any
cool.
strings.
Did you make that yourself?
Yeah, I did. I made it last night because yesterday I was like, I'm gonna go to this convention. Oh, I don't have a costume. So I was like, okay, I have a black wig. I have this t-shirt I could cut up.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to make the costume. And I already sprayed my boots to look maroon. The one thing I had to do was make this guitar. And I stayed up until 3 a.m. doing this.
Nice.
And I didn't even put strings on it because I was super tired. And I was like cutting things wrong. And I was like, oh no, okay, I'm way too tired. I have to go to bed.
That's fine. We're going to go with what we got.
Yeah, but I'm very, very proud of it. I've learned how to make stuff like this. And it was to me, not to brag, but I thought it was actually kind of easy. And I'm thinking, wow, I actually can do this stuff. Wow.
Very cool.
I'm not useless. Okay.
Very cool. No,
Yeah.
absolutely. You did a very good job with the costume and with the axe base.
Thanks.
It's very, very nice. Well, thank you very much for talking to us, and I want to take a picture with you right now. Meeting some very nice folks out here today, and it's very interesting. We have a large mixture of folks that are into comics, anime, wrestling. What else did we have? I know I'm going to mispronounce this. Kaiji, the Japanese animation and Japanese culture. So a very eclectic group of people today. Very cool, though. Good conversations.
Resuming our date with the X's, we're going to go down the list of our X-Men characters as they were introduced into the X-Men series. We're going with pretty much what we're labeling the 1980s X-Men.
So many good characters came out of the 80s. I mean,
there was a lot of good ones.
It's hard to really pick a golden era for X-Men because there are so many good eras, so many good writers, so many good artists. The 90s were awesome for the X-Men as well. 90s were really good.
They were good.
Some of our best characters came out of the 90s, like
Adam X.
Adam X. Yeah.
Thank you for letting me say it.
Yes. So let's go ahead and go down the list. So as you guys can remember, or just to remind you, the way we're doing this is we're going down the list. We're grading them from 1 to 10 on costumes, powers, and then giving them an overall score. For example, if Gambit gets a 10 for his costume, he gets a 10 for his powers, and he gets a 10 overall, he gets the perfect score of 30.
Not at all biased.
Spoiler alert.
Not at all biased.
We're going to come back to that in a moment. So let's go ahead and get started, man. You want to kick us off?
All right, so right at the top of the list, one of the first characters to join in the 80s in the X-Men was none other than Kitty Pryde, who went by several names like Sprite, Ariel, and what most people know her as Shadowcat. Did
you know this little known fact? Since we're kind of on a theme of the X-Men animated series, in the X-Men animated series, Fox wanted to use Shadowcat as one of the main characters, but the writers, the creators of the show, they decided on Jubilee instead.
Really?
Looking back now, you think, well, it makes sense. Jubilee, 90s.
She was popular in the 90s.
But at that time that they used Jubilee, she had only recently been introduced to the X-Men, so she became popular because of the animated series. But anyways, that's an aside.
Correct.
We're not talking about Jubilee. We're talking about Shadow. I just thought that was interesting that we could have had a Shadowcat, which Shadowcat never made an appearance on the animated series.
Never. Not even once. Not even like a background character like we see on the Sentinel Island.
They kept her out. Even during the Days of Future Past episodes, they replaced her with, do you remember who? Bishop.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they used Bishop.
Yeah, that's
Bishop
right.
was the time traveler, which was a cool take. But anyways, Shadowcat, man. What'd you get?
For her costume, she's had a number of costumes. One of the first costumes that I really remember was Shadowcat, and you're probably not going to remember if you don't know the comic, but in Uncanny X-Men 149, she had like a big face costume, and there was like all these designs, and she wore roller skates.
She wore roller skates, so
she wore roller skates. Like when she was...
So you're not thinking about Dazzler?
She pretty much stole that costume.
There is a second roller skated X-Men?
Yes, and it was Kitty Pryde.
Nice.
And that's like one of the costumes I remember from Kitty Pryde. She had joined early on, and she went through a bunch of costumes really fast, but that one stuck out because it was so colorful and so horrible.
Yeah.
But so overall, I gave Kitty Pryde.
So you're judging her costume, or you're grading her costume
overall,
okay.
Like every kind of costume she's had,
Sure.
because she's never had anything that really stood out.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave her costume a 6, a little bit over average.
I gave her a 6 as well. So we're kind of on par on that.
And then what did you give her for powers?
I gave her power set a 9, surprisingly high.
9.
Yeah.
I gave her an 8.
You gave her an 8, yeah.
Gave her an 8. I did like that when she phased through like anything mechanical. She
shorts it.
Yeah, she shorts it. That's kind of a cool little touch.
Yeah, just to add that little twist is really cool. I do like that.
And then overall, what'd you give Miss Pride?
I gave her a name. Yeah.
Okay.
I gave her a name. I like the fact that she's this young female Jewish girl, so she has layers and layers.
So many people don't remember the Jewish thing. That's actually really cool.
Yeah.
I actually gave her a 9. She also has one of my favorite stories, which is Kitty Pryde's fairy tale, Uncanny X-Men 153.
Yes.
With the little bamfs and all that stuff. Love that story.
So next on the list, we're not straying too far off here, is Kitty Pryde's sidekick, Lockheed.
All right, so I'm just going to say it now, he pretty much almost scored perfect with me. He has a 29. He has a 29.
All right. We're going to have a little discussion here.
So it was a 10, 9, 10 for me. So
a
10
9,
for
10?
Costume. I love how Lockheed looks. The design of Lockheed is really awesome. 9 for the powers because he just breathes fire. And then the overall is also a 10 because I just love Lockheed.
Let me tell
Lockheed
you mine.
can do no wrong, dude.
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah.
I gave him a 1 for costume.
What?
He's a little purple dragon. He felt a little out of place for me because I came in reading comics in the 90s, so I always wondered why this girl had this dragon along with her, which, whatever, but I thought that was weird.
Did you ever go back and read?
That's what I was going to ask you. Can you give us a little bit of background on Lockheed?
I'm going to make you change your answer right now.
You had me crying.
So, as you know, the X-Men get kidnapped by the Brood, right?
Yeah.
Through X-Men 161 through basically 166. They think they are talking to one of the Shire, but it's actually the Brood Queen impersonating and doing this whole illusion thing.
Okay.
Implants them each with an egg. And so they each struggle with an egg. Like in X-Men 162, it's Wolverine basically over his healing factor overcoming the egg. Like the egg can't reshape his body because of his adamantium bones.
Yeah, which is that's the Wolverine as the Brood cover, right? Where
he's on the cover and he's all cut up and stuff.
One of the most iconic X-Men covers.
Yes, I agree.
It is one of the best covers, which is dope. Yeah.
I actually agree. That is a great cover. So that's 162. So 163 basically takes it from Kitty's point of view, fighting a Brood who is trying to capture her, and she goes into an airlock and struggles with the idea of, if I press the airlock, this Brood is going out into space and it's going to die. Eventually does it. Boom, does the airlock. Brood goes out. It dies. 164 goes with Carol. The Brood are experimenting on her, unleashes this power. She becomes binary.
Which you love binary, by the way.
Yes.
Another
side
my God.
note. This is awesome.
This rabbit hole goes deep.
It goes way deep. So 165 is Storm dealing with the Brood growing inside her. She can sense it. It's life. She doesn't know what to do. She binds with one of those space whales, the Uncanny, I think they're called. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong like I always do.
No.
And then in 166 is the big battle. All the X-Men are back together. They're fighting the Brood, and they get to the Brood Queen to fight her. And Kitty Pryde is running through this hallway, basically, and being chased by Brood. And Lockheed shows up and fries them all and kills all the Brood. And
so he's an alien.
Supposedly, yeah. And basically, when the X-Men teleport off of the Brood world, when it gets destroyed, he teleports with them. But he shows up in 168 when I always call them the Sidri.
That sounds right, yeah.
Yeah, the dudes who shoot red beams.
Yeah.
He shows up to help Kitty again against those dudes because they've infested the basement for whatever reason. So I've always liked Lockheed. So that's his story. Have I convinced you to change your answer yet?
No, not at all.
All right, next on our list is our favorite Southern Belle.
Oh my God.
Rogue. One of the things that I've always loved is that cover of Rogue running. Colossus is chasing her, and it says, "Welcome to the X-Men. I hope you survive the experience." I use that all the time. Well, not to the X-Men, but I say, "Welcome to blank. Hope you survive the experience."
Yeah.
So
Rogue is she for me. Okay, well let's just go through the scores. I'll just real quick: 9 for costume, 9 for powers, 10 overall.
All right, I did 8, 8, 9.
She the power set comes into question because her power set is absorbing mutant powers. The power set that most people know her for, the super
actually,
strength.
It's
absorbing anything. Yeah,
anything.
Life
mutant,
energy, life force. Yeah,
mutant doesn't matter.
But if she does absorb, she through skin contact, right? But most people know her as being able to fly,
super
strength, basically
Miss
Marvel's power set because she absorbed Miss Marvel's powers.
Good story too. Avengers Annual number 10. Dropping knowledge.
Absolutely. I'm going to do another callback to X-Men the Animated Series. The voice actress for Rogue was so spot on.
What if I'd been lying about not being able to touch another human being? What if I could, if I wanted to?
What's this supposed to mean to me?
Come up to the rec room in 5 minutes and I'll show you.
Yes. She was perfect. That's exactly how I imagined Rogue sounding.
That's exactly how she will sound forever. The voice actress was perfect. How some people say Mark Hamill is the Joker. There's one of their favorite Jokers because when they read the Joker, they read the Joker in Mark Hamill's voice from Batman the Animated Series. When I think of Rogue, I think of Rogue's voice from the animated series. She's amazing.
Yes. So there's that line in the X-Men animated series where she says,
You look nervous as a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs.
I was like, that's like such like a Southern, in my head. I don't know if that's actually like a Southern saying. And
can we just take a second to
talk about
the voice acting in the X-Men animated series was so good.
Yeah.
Gambit, Rogue, Jubilee, Storm, Jean Grey, Cyclops, Beast. I mean, those were essentially
those were the voices.
They nailed it.
Yeah,
100%.
I agree. The way they did the X-Men animated series suddenly defined how I hear each of the X-Men. Like even Gambit. Like every time I hear Gambit in my head, it's that.
I like solitaire, okay? Unless I got someone to play with.
Freaking right out of the cartoon, dude.
Yeah.
Right out
exactly.
of the cartoon.
Rogue, I do have a soft spot for Rogue because she was the love interest to my favorite character. The conflict between her not being able to touch him and him being a womanizer, and of course he falls for a girl that he can't have. It was perfect. And she's not a damsel in distress. She's one of the strongest
female characters.
Characters in the X-Men. So it's not like she was a weak character that they constantly had to save. She was their heavy hitter.
Yeah.
One of the coolest scenes in the comic, for one of the coolest Rogue and Gambit scenes, was right before the Age of Apocalypse when time freezes just as Remy and Rogue are like kissing. And they freeze in that state. That was a really cool clip.
Isn't that's the X-Men 24 where the cover is them kissing, right?
Kissing, yeah.
Yeah, with the red background.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of cool stuff that happened with the strong guy having a heart attack, and a lot of cool stuff happened. But that was one of those moments where it was like, what?
Yeah,
yes.
Why are you stopping here?
That was awesome. And then also the Age of Apocalypse Delivered, which was really cool. She's one of the coolest X-Men characters to me. She's one of the iconic X-Men characters for sure.
So what I find interesting is the change that Rogue went through when she first appeared in the X-Men in Uncanny X-Men 158. She had the short hair, like the angry eyebrow kind of look. When we see her actually officially join the X-Men, they softened up everything. Like in 171, it's still kind of short, but as it progressed, like her hair suddenly got bigger and bigger and longer and longer.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that when they made her a hero, they made her also more attractive. And what's so funny is in her original appearance, she does have the white streak, but it's on the sides of her head.
Yeah.
And then it went from the sides mysteriously just to right down the middle like a skunk.
Rachel Summers, Phoenix. Rachel Summers she's one of the first of these sort of alternate universe timeline type characters, which would now they're super common. What did you give Rachel Summers?
I'm sure I've made it clear everywhere from podcast to blog. I'm not a fan of the time displaced characters, more so especially if there is already a version of them that exists.
Yeah.
Rachel doesn't have a counterpart, but I feel like she was the gateway for time displaced characters to start happening.
Yep.
And because of that, I kind of have a dislike towards her. If we were to do this like 10 years ago, I might have rated her higher.
Yeah.
But I gave her a 3.51.
Oh, wow.
I don't care for her costume. You
don't like the spikes?
The Hound costume?
Yeah.
That one? Yeah.
It's pretty hot.
Why don't you like Adam X?
I'm
going to bring it back.
Because he has blades, and he's not a chick, and he's not a redhead.
A time displaced character. She's just like Jean Grey. She has the Phoenix Force, which, back then it was cool, but I've actually gotten sincerely tired of the whole Phoenix storyline.
They've milked
too
it
much.
Too much.
Yeah. Everyone's had the Phoenix Force. It's like a venereal disease.
They've done the Phoenix 5 in the Avengers vs. X-Men.
Yep.
This Phoenix the Phoenix Force.
Jean Grey has come back and died
so many times.
The way I see it, she's become a parody of herself, right?
Yes.
She's like, I'm Jean Grey, I'll be back.
Yeah.
Oh, she's back. She died. Don't even hold your breath. She'll be right back.
She'll be right back.
She's just going to the bathroom.
It may be a few months, it may be a few years, but eventually a writer's going to come along and say, okay, I think I'm going to bring Jean
Phoenix
back.
Force, she's okay.
Yeah. Every time they do it cheapens it a little more.
A lot more.
Yeah, I mean,
not even a little anymore.
At this point, there's nothing left in the tank. Watch the animated series; they do the Phoenix story there as well.
And
anyways,
they actually do it good.
They do it really good.
That was actually they involve the Shire. They do the whole thing.
Yeah.
close as they can to the comic.
Oh my God! The animated series I can't praise enough. It was a condensed version of the entire history of the X-Men.
Yes.
All right, so I gave a Phoenix a 7 for the costume. I do like her costume. I do like, what'd you call it? The Mad Dog costume?
The Hound costume. That's
Hound
what she was
costume.
called.
Okay.
Back then, she was actually a hound. She used to hunt down mutants.
For her power set, I gave her power set a 1.
Yep.
Not based on the actual power set, but it's a copy of an existing power set. Overall, I give her a 14. The majority of her points are because she's a redhead. Redheads are hot. I have a soft spot for the Summers characters, and she was legit Summers.
Except for Adam X.
He wasn't a Summers.
Catherine Summers.
I thought that was retconned.
No, that's not retcon. It's just not confirmed.
Yeah, except for that guy.
It's the son of Deken. We know that much. That is confirmed. And
So
he has blonde hair.
If I had to list them all, he would probably be at the bottom.
The bottom.
All right.
I swear I'm going to buy every appearance and give it to you. All 5.
All 5 of them?
Next one, we move to the master of magnetism, none other than Magneto.
But Tawmis, Magneto came out in 1963 in X-Men 1. Why are we seeing him in the 80s list?
Because he did not join the X-Men until 200.
I'll start this one off. I gave his costume an 8, and I'm going off the classic red and purple with the helmet and the big bolts on his chest.
Only an 8?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it is iconic. His power set is a 9. A very cool power set.
I'm curious, do you have a favorite Magneto moment where you're like, oh, dude? I'm wondering if it's the same as mine.
It's actually the finale of Age of Apocalypse. So after all this buildup, after all this, they finally face off, and Magneto rips Apocalypse in half. And that was such a good panel, too, the scene where he's splitting him. It was really cool.
So for me, I gave Magneto a 9, an 8, and a 7. Like, I loved his costume, like his original costume.
Dude, why are you giving me a hard time? That was like
that's a
the
whole
exact
point
same
different.
numbers. I gave him I gave him an 8, 9, and 7. You give him a 9, 8, and 7.
I know.
And you're like, how could you?
I have to say, my favorite Magneto moment had to be when he ripped the adamantium out of Wolverine.
Oh, out of Wolverine. Yeah, that was cool.
Like, I didn't like the after effect of Wolverine being super feral and the bone things. So next up, we have someone who is a visitor from Mojo World, none other than the four-fingered Longshot.
Longshot. Such a cool character.
Really? Okay,
yes.
so we're going to agree on him.
Yes. And he's strange because on the surface, if you were to tell me that you have a leather jacket wearing mulleted lucky character, he sounds goofy, but he comes in like such a bad.
Yep.
He looks like a Billy Idol. He's cool,
He throws
man.
razor blades.
He throws razor blades, yeah. What's Longshot's power set?
Well, he has 2. So he has the ability when his thoughts are pure to have good luck. And he also has the ability to touch something and it's post-cognition.
Mhm.
So if he touches like a book, he can see who touched it last and kind of see part of their life.
So what score did you give Longshot?
Oh, I gave Longshot a 9, 10, and a 10.
For his costume, I gave him an 8.
An 8? No,
yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
What? It's a point different.
Yeah. Longshot has one of the coolest characters with the leather jacket and the spiky mulleted look that he has. He's really cool.
Yeah. I agree.
Overall, I gave him a 10 because he's such a cool and unique character, and he's not overused either.
No, not at all.
Usually when he comes around, we're talking Mojo's
always fun.
Yeah, those are always fun.
Yes.
I like those. Some of my favorite. And now we are going to introduce another one of my favorite iconic X-Men characters, and that is...
She was an English woman who, through Siege Perilous, became a ninja assassin.
Yeah, like
we are talking about none other than Psylocke.
Psylocke. Absolutely. And she was one of the characters that when I started reading the X-Men, she was front and center. She was on the blue team, which is arguably one of the best X-Men team ever assembled. What wasn't select? She was like, she's a purple-haired Asian ninja psychic assassin. So for her costume, I gave her a 10.
Same.
She fights in a bathing suit. Sure, why not? For her power set, I gave her a 10 because it was a unique take on sort of a,
telepathy.
Telepathy already exists, but what she would do was she would fashion telepathic daggers from her fists, and she would stab people in the head, which was really cool. And it was a really cool visual as well to see her like have somebody by the neck or by the throat and just sort
Sticking
of
the blade
right through their head, right through their temple. I liked her. Overall, I gave her a 9.
Wow, see, I gave her a perfect 10, 10, 10.
10, 10, 10? To me, I feel like she is a bit underused as well. Oh, so what did you think of Psylocke from the Apocalypse movie?
So, with the Apocalypse movie, we sort of covered it with our previous podcast where we covered the Age of Apocalypse. They nailed the look. With her movie presence, though, they didn't use her.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't use her. Like, she has, like, one line.
Yeah. Next on the list is one of our favorite characters, if not your wife Amy's absolute favorite character.
The mutant that dazzles us all.
Dazzler. Dazzler is interesting because she was sort of based on, I forget who it was, an actual artist, and then the artist backed out, so they just kept her as Dazzler. So as a side note, if you guys have a chance, go on YouTube and look up Alison Blair, The Sight of Sound. It's a music video by our friends over at Greasy Pig Studios.
Yes.
And it's a music video starring Alison Blair as Dazzler, and you have cameos by Longshot and some other X-Men. It's really cool. It's really well done. Check it out. So for Dazzler, I gave her look an 8. The blue suit with the brown jacket, it's really cool. What is Dazzler's power set?
So Dazzler possesses the ability to absorb sound and convert it into light, basically, and she uses that light in a form of like a laser.
All right, so that's Dazzler. Up next on the list, we have another sort of another 80s side character that would play very important roles in stories. He was, sort of a love interest of Storm at one point. Took her powers. She was kind of upset by that. And that's Forge, one of the few Native American X-Men.
I'm normally a big fan of the Native American characters, like not just X-Men, just any Native American character. I never got into Forge.
Me neither. I don't know why.
Never got into him. I like his power, like that he can do anything with technology, right? Like if he needs a gun that can wipe out mutant powers, give him like a half hour, he's got it.
His mutant power is to be able to, it's a power of invention, is basically
it's essentially it.
I felt like he was sort of a Banshee type character where he had the potential. No.
It's like, hold on.
I'm not saying it as a bad thing. It's just like they had so much potential for like richness, but they never really did anything super cool with them. Power set of an 8. That was a unique power. You had to really think outside the box to create that like power set.
So there was a dude in Alpha Flight who had that same exact power, and I believe he predates Forge.
Oh, really?
I believe so. His name's Box. We can double check it. Oh, wait, we don't have internet.
Yeah.
Damn it.
On our phones, maybe.
Oh, wait.
Dude, they use Alpha Flight in the X-Men, the animated series, too.
Yes, they do, and they do a pretty good job, except for Puck. Puck has a really high-pitched voice.
Yeah, he does.
So, Madison Jeffries, we're loading it up right now. First appeared in Alpha Flight number 16 in 1984. And he had the technokinetic ability to reshape plastic, metal, or glass to any shape desired. Technopathic ability to mentally communicate with AI, such as machines and robots, which allowed him to switch into whatever he needed.
What was his first appearance?
His first appearance was in Alpha Flight 16, 1984.
What month?
Ooh, looks like Forge is 1984.
Forge. His first appearance was in Uncanny X-Men 184 in August of 1984.
Ooh, looks like Madison was in November.
So Forge beat him out. Next up on the list is a little-known character.
We'll just skip him.
He's not
even worth mentioning.
He is one of the coolest characters.
Unbiased view.
Unbiased. It's Gambit. He got 10 all across the board for me.
What?
Yeah, he's one of the coolest characters ever because he was awesome.
He got a 29 with me. The only place he scored a 9 overall.
So Gambit has been one of my favorite. I mean, Wolverine's always, of course, I have too many favorites. I was going to say Cyclops too, and Psylocke and Jean Grey and Storm. It's hard to create a character like that comes off as likable and not have him be like a Leisure Suit Larry type of character.
Yes. Funny you used Leisure Suit Larry.
Yeah.
So next up on the list, we have none other than Jubilation Lee.
Jubilee was really cool because she was a...
We're going to disagree here.
You don't like Jubilee?
Carry on.
I like Jubilee because she was an Asian character, first of all. So she was an ethnic character, but she was very Valley Girl, very much a mall rat. Like, I think some of her best stories were in the Wolverine comic when she was sort of Wolverine's sidekick.
Where did you see Jubilee first? Was it in the comics first, or did you see her in the cartoon first?
No, it was in the comics. It was in the...
So you saw her first in the comics?
Yes.
So then what'd you score for her for?
For her costume, get this, I gave her a 9.
So So she looks just like Robin, and you gave her a 9?
Yes.
For originality?
Yes. So I gave her a 9 because she looks like Robin, but she's a girl. Okay, so Jubilee for her power set, she got a 7.
What?
She
shot fireworks. How do you hate Adam X so much?
I don't know, man. She just seemed like a really likable character.
I'm basing my scores off the comic, and I gave her a 2, a 1, and a 1.
Wow.
Wears sunglasses on her head. Oh my
and popping bubble gum. Right? The big
How did
pink
you hate
bubble gum.
Adam X so much?
Because
these are the things that conflict me.
Because
when you're like, I hate Adam X.
Because
but I love Jubilee.
Adam X was trying too hard. He was trying way too hard.
Girl who looks like Robin.
He braided his hair. Like you're an adult, dude.
Blades and braids. What more do you need?
And the thing is, I don't think Jubilee was necessarily like on the blue team, was she?
No.
No,
she wasn't.
She was. Her popularity literally came from the animated show.
Yes. Like, if I were to base this on the cartoon, she would have probably scored like 8s across the board.
No.
Because I thought she was super effective in the cartoon. I actually liked the actress who played her. I thought she was way more useful in the cartoon.
Do you want to hear some cool trivia?
Let's hear it.
So the animated series came out in 1992.
Right.
And in the episode of Days of Future Past, they have the X-Men. The X-Men, of course, have died, and they have a tombstone, and her death is in 2010. If you read the comics, in 2010, that is the year that Jubilee actually dies and becomes the vampire Jubilee.
Really?
So they predicted her death. Up next on the list, another time-displaced character.
It is not a king, it's not a queen, it is a bishop.
Rook. Oh, bishop.
Oh, come on now.
No, I'm just kidding. He's another time-displaced character, but he is one of the few characters that was actually done really well.
I loved everything about Bishop. I gave him a 10-10-9. I loved his costume, loved his power, loved his look, loved his attitude, loved his whole story. Him and Gambit have this big knockout, drag-out fight.
He had a really cool introduction where he came back looking for the assassin. He was looking for the mutant assassin.
Yeah, the one who would basically bring the end of the X-Men.
Yep. Identifies Gambit and goes after him.
Yep. So what were your scores for Bishop?
For Bishop, he got an 8 for the costume. I am a fan of the costume. I like his future X-Men XSE
costume. With the red bandana.
Yeah, with the red bandana. It's awesome looks. And he had the M tattoo on his eye. It does sort of harken back to how the Nazis would tattoo the serial numbers on the forearms of the Jewish people. He had a brand over his eye to say that he was a mutant. His power set, he got a 9. Now you may correct me if I'm wrong, but that was kind of a new thing at that time,
That was new.
Right?
So you had Havoc, who had a similar thing, right? He absorbed solar power. But Bishop is the first one I can remember who would take energy that's directed at him and then redirect it through his fist and use it as an energy blast. What did you think of, I don't know if you remember his two teammates, Randall and Malcolm?
Dude, why? They really killed those guys. Did they ever bring them back?
No.
They never did they?
No, I was so pissed.
All right, who do we have next on the list?
Next, I don't know how to pronounce her name.
Revanchi.
That's
how would you pronounce it?
I don't know.
I should have let you pronounce it first.
I would have probably said Revanche.
Yeah. All right, man, explain Revanchi to us, please.
She is the other body of Betsy Braddock, basically. She had come back and was temporarily, very short periods of time, in X-Men. So she was basically another telepath, but not as Psylocke, but as the original. And she eventually died of the legacy virus. If I remember correctly.
She was a bit confusing to me. I didn't understand why we had 2 Psylocks. So Revanchi got a 1-1-1 for me.
For me, she got a 2, 7, and a 5. Not very high scores for pretty much the same reason.
So after Revanchi, we have one of my favorite sort of lesser known characters that hasn't really
lesser known
in the mainstream. He was supposed to be Negasonic in Deadpool, but they decided to go a different direction.
I can see it because they're kind of similar. That part where she charges the chick.
Yeah, exactly.
That could have fully been Cannonball.
Oh, we're talking about Cannonball, by the way.
Yeah. Spoiler
alert.
alert.
We should introduce the character. So we're talking about Cannonball. So Cannonball is a very cool character who sort of rockets himself as his mutant power and becomes invulnerable while he's blasting. Yeah.
Love it, dude.
Yeah, he was really cool. And he had his really cool leather helmet with the straps hanging
You
down.
like that version?
Yeah,
of it?
with the goggles. You don't like that version?
No,
dude, it was
my
cool.
favorite version of him is the New Mutants version, the standard like black and yellow X-Men costume.
It was just cool. He was one of those cool characters. He was likable.
So, quick question: did you actually read New Mutants?
No, I never read New Mutants.
Dude. Oh my God! So you have to read the first 17 issues. Bob McLeod is the artist. Amazing. And Chris Claremont, writer, dude. Remember when we were talking about the Brood thing with the X-Men and Lockheed and all that stuff? So in X-Men 167, it literally starts with introducing the New Mutants. It's not their first appearance. Their first appearance is a New Mutants graphic novel. But they're like all watching Magnum PI and stuff on TV.
Oh, cool.
And that's when the X-Men come back from the whole Brood thing, and they discover that Professor X is a Brood, and they're attacking Professor X, and the New Mutants are like, what are you doing? Like, they don't know who these X-Men are. And Professor X, basically, you learn that Professor X brought these New Mutants to basically put a Brood egg in them. That's the original reason he brought the New Mutants together.
Oh, wow. So I gave Cannonball a 9 for the costume. I do like the costume with the straps. It's sort of his X-Force costume.
Yeah.
And I gave him a 10 for his power set. And then overall, I gave him a 10. So he got a 9, 10, 10 for a total of 29. He's one of the cooler mutants.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
I gave him a 997.
Oh, spoiler alert. So the last 4 are Joseph, Dr. Cecilia Reyes, Marrow, and Thomas's personal favorite, Maggot.
So let me just say this right now. This is why I said we should just do the last 4. All 4 of them, 111 for me.
I'm right there with you. I
All
gave
right.
them all ones.
So I'll just quickly go over it. Joseph, he's basically a clone of Magneto, essentially. We've already seen Magneto. We've seen the better version of Magneto. This is just a version of Magneto.
He's like
that
Magneto
is
light.
Dr. Cecilia Reyes. She has, I'm trying to remember, it's like a force field or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Marrow. Got it. She's a Morlock. I might have given her a 2 somewhere. I just couldn't stand her. She was, of all the Morlocks that we ever saw, she was one of the worst. Maggot was perhaps one of the worst characters in X-Men history for me.
Cool. So there you have it. Those were the 1980s characters. We went over Shadowcat, Lockheed, Rogue, Rachel Summers, Magneto, Longshot, Psylocke, Dazzler, Forge, of course, Gambit, Jubilee, Bishop, Revanchi, Cannonball, and then some others.
And if there's anything that we've said that you agree or disagree on, we'd love to hear any feedback you have.
All right, guys.
And then, so that's going to do it for today.
Signing off.
And it's been an amazing day. Like, I want to thank everyone who has come by and sat down, basically with Maico, because I make him do all the work for the interviews, and he's done a knockout job. Like, whatever conversation came up, Maico handled it like a freaking pro, dude.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the Comic Relief Podcast.
We hope you'll join us next time as we continue to discuss all things comic book related.
And until then, make mine Marvel
and DC
and independent. I'd like to give special thanks to Adam Johnson, who did the heavy metal version of the classic X-Men animated cartoon series theme song that you hear in the beginning and the end. You can find Adam Johnson's YouTube channel at youtube.com/user/AJ Heretic666. You can also find him at adamjohnsonuk.bandcamp.com. He is also on iTunes. You can also find him on Facebook at facebook.com/Adam Johnson Music. And he is on Twitter at twitter.com/Adam J Music UK.
So
I just swallowed a bug.
It's nutritious and delicious.
Yes. Protein. One of the Atkins diet.
Oh my god.
Did we do the 19? No, yeah, we're in the 1980s. Okay.
We're in the 80s.
We're in the 80s.
I mean, not right now.
I mean, you're stuck in the 80s for sure.
I have always been in the 80s.
Very cool. Thank you guys. Appreciate
Thank you.
But we do have a couple requests.
Okay, so so those are the.
Oh yeah, can I leave a few here in a stack?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so that has the website and the Twitter feed on it.
Julia, you dropped these off yesterday.
Oh.
Well, so sure.
Did you guys sign up for a piece?
Aw.
Fair enough. You have the marker?
I actually have a marker.
Oh, you never.
Yeah, we're getting better at this. But yeah, this was
getting better at that.
Yeah, so it just gives you an idea of the dates. We had it was February 17th when we started. So this was 23 days later. We had all 13 stories laid out and the first draft of the first 2 scripts. And that's Mark's working really fast.
Wow.
And FYI, yesterday, no, the 17th, February 17th was
the absolute 25th anniversary of the day that we all came together for the green light of the doing the show. Marvel and Saban and Fox and Gross, everybody in one room. We're gonna make a TV show. And that was the 17th of February.
Wow, that's great.
The day before, Eric had been called in to work on what would have been what was at the time. Oh, here, it's gonna bleed. Yeah, use a napkin.
I'll use it.
Well, we don't want it to leak on the carpet.
Fox had called and said, "Are you free? We might need you to head up the writing on the Attack of the Killer Tomatoes."
Okay,
and so
it's a job.
I said
I'm pregnant. Yes, let's do this.
Another guy that just making sure they were free had the same call. Will Mineo did, and then the night before the meeting, he called and said, "Oh, it's not tomatoes. It's this thing called X-Men." And I just said, "That's a comic, right?" And that's how little, because I'd read some Marvel stuff, but I'd read more Spider-Man and Fantastic Four, and so I was that unprepared for the first meeting, and I was just kind of nodding and listening to everybody.
Was it cool going from like very cartoony stuff to a very serious?
Oh yeah,
it was very gratifying. Do you want him to sign your names on this, or would you rather just leave it blank like that? Oh, me too. Good Lord.
Yeah, sure.
Let's be real here.
Yeah, no, the 2 main writer guys and I mean, everybody, all the people have been so frustrated by being told to write younger. Everybody's ready to write older, and the 2 guys the 2 main writers I'd gone to college with, we met programming movies, and we liked westerns and war movies and historical movies, and so that we liked serious stuff. We liked tougher guy, film noir. We liked tougher guy movies. I said, "Oh, so they're going to let us?"
Yeah, that's always the word, they're going to let us.
Yeah, they'll pay our salaries. Go ahead, sorry.
Do you mind if we take?
Oh no, only if we can take the picture back too. Can we find someone to help us here? I should call Debbie and Darwin. Oh, it's Mike Towery.
Oh, that's a different tall person.
We can take turns if you want to do a selfie. Okay. And what's your name?
Lady Kaya Damarite.
Lady Kaya.
Yes, we'll just go with the.
Of Demerite?
No, Lady Kaya Damarite.
Demerite.
I don't know.
I'll spell it phonetically.
Put damn, I'm right together, and you get Damarite. That's how my grandmother figured that out, was damn, I'm right. And so that's how I got Damarite.
And I'm sorry, I forgive me. The name of your kingdom is?
The Kingdom of Esperance.
And this isn't live, so if I get this wrong, let me know and I can redo it. Okay? Well, it was very nice meeting you.
I'm sure we're going to see you again at some point in time.
I think so.
Except not at a steampunk thing.
Yeah.
Because apparently that's just not going to work for you. So you just do the comic booky ones?
Comic booky, sometimes sci-fi, but yeah, for the most part.
What are good sci-fi conventions out here?
There's what is it, CondorCon, I think that's out here.
Okay.
I think that's a sci-fi convention, if I'm not mistaken, yeah. Oh, what was the Great Wall?
On regards to whether you can see it from space or not, yes, you can see Ben Affleck's forehead from space.
Knew it.
You cannot see the
Oh my lord, I'm glad this is being recorded. Peter McBride was wrong.
The only man-made thing you can see from space is city lights.
and the destruction of the rainforest.
Peter McBride was wrong.
Dun, dun, dun. We have an exclusive.
Yeah, we are recording it.
Oh, going out live. Lovely.
What high school did you go to?
I went to Southwest High.
I went to Southwest High with you. 88.
89, so you did the year before.
Yeah, you look familiar. You haven't changed too much.
You had a big gray beard in high school?
And I do. I love to do commissions. Speaking of Attack on Titan, I got commissioned a year or so ago to do a mashup of legendary Godzilla and Attack on Titan, and I went to the wall and I did a double panel rather than a single panel. So they got like twice the work for the amount of money.
That sounds like a dream job right there. Like, yeah, I'll do that one. That was cool.
I had so much fun on that.
Oh, I bet. If you'd like to sit down and chat with us, you get a free pen. We do it all the time. It's not too bad. Yeah, we made a hobby out of it. So that's not the one I'm basing it on.
Right.
I'm going
off the original.
The classic purple and pink costume. With the helmet.
It wasn't pink, it was shades of red.
Yeah, okay. Magenta. What do you call it when you have so much good stuff? Oh my god.
Chocolate cake?
Yeah, it's like chocolate cake with chocolate frosting.
Up to the now.
1, 2,
3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Let's make a song.
About songs, about numbers.
About numbers. Where'd you go with songs? You ruined it.
I was chewing.
What are you chewing?
Driest nuts ever.
Got these nuts in my mouth and I'm chewing them. How dry are they? And how frequently do you put dry nuts in your mouth, boy?
Call it Comic-Con without the crowds. Comic Fest underway in Kearney Mesa.
Different, not Comic-Con, different. Comic Fest. From professional artists to amateur cosplay. The scaled-down convention has it all, minus, the sea of humanity and the mass of people there that you can't move. Founder Mike Towery, who is a co-founder of the original Comic-Con, said he wanted fans to have a chance to enjoy the exhibits, but in a more intimate setting. Comic Fest runs through today.
That seems kind of cool, too. You don't have
can
to
actually move.
Be packed in like
sardines.
It is
crazy. You literally you can't move.
I know.